Welcome, everybody. You are watching Shank Club NFL across all the usual social media platforms, Twitter, Stitch, just everywhere. My name's Nick Cork. Unfortunately, my co-host Pete can't be with me this week. He's still crying, I think, from the wildcard games last week. Great weekend of sport. And, I couldn't have wished for a better weekend, if I'm honest. Seattle losing and Pittsburgh. Fantastic weekend. Trust me, Pete thought he was going to be in the money about just before the game started, but unfortunately, our biggest bet was on the Steelers not getting past the wild card. So unfortunately, all I had to do was give him £10, which is always hilarious. Right, let's get this shit started. Hit it, Carl. Welcome. We are the Shank Club NFL. Yeah, the Shank Club NFL is back in the building. If you are waiting to join, please bear with us for a bit because the studio is full and we will be getting some spaces very, very shortly. So just wait until you can click on the link and it will let you in. Got to say hello to everyone. Thank you for watching last week. We went over 900 views on our show last week, which is pretty amazing and absolutely fantastic. I'm sure most of you tuned in to see our first guest who's coming on because it's certainly not me and it's certainly not Pete. Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing really good, Nick. How are you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. I've actually got a heater in the bunker today and it's warming my feet up. So it's quite warm in here at the moment. So, yeah, all is good. So last week, very quickly, what did you think of the wildcard weekend? Do you think the format worked? Did you like it? I know it was obviously long hours for you and the guys in the sky, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, anytime, in my opinion anyway, anytime you can get more teams in the playoffs, I think that's a good thing. And I think we saw that anybody that was worried there were going to be blowouts in the first round because a 7 seed was going up, to a 2 seed and wouldn't be able to compete. I think everybody was pleasantly surprised. Those were great football games. Even the Steelers game, which had all the makings of a blowout early when it got to be 28-0. The Steelers came back and fought and really honestly had a chance at the end. They just surprisingly, their defense let them down. They couldn't stop Cleveland at all. Cleveland, every time that they needed to respond in the second half, was able to get another touchdown and keep the margin. So I thought it was a great weekend of football.
I was really surprised talking to that Steelers game, just how quickly Cleveland jumped out. Obviously, I know the snap over the head and the interceptions and stuff. But the other thing I couldn't understand late in the game was he punted on 4th and 2 with plenty of time left. And I couldn't understand that.
I was a little bit surprised at that, too, because you're chasing points at that time and you need possessions. The strength of the Steelers team all year has been defense. And even if you don't get it at that position, they get the ball at the 40 and you're going to have to play defense. But I was really surprised at Mike not going for it there. And then the other thing that was shocking to me, and I know Highsmith went out and they were down to playing, a third player, their third outside linebacker, but their defense just got pounded on up front. Cleveland ran the football effectively, and then, they couldn't get to Baker at all, and he was able to deliver strikes when he needed to in the second half. So it was a great effort by Cleveland. Obviously disappointing for Pittsburgh, but, it just goes to show you better come and play every game. And, Pete, I'm sure will someday, hopefully before the season starts next year, he'll, come out of hiding and see the sun again.
Today apparently he's shopping. He's doing his food shopping, which is why he can't come on. But I still think that, and trust me, that Monday morning I went into work, Jeff, I was just barking, howling, laughing, and he was very upset. He was that upset that he missed the Steelers' comeback because he switched the TV off when I think either halftime or just after. So there you go. Right, let's get into today's and tomorrow's matchups. Let's start with the Rams versus the Packers. What do you think on this one, Jeff?
It's a classic matchup, right? Without being cliche, it's the number one scoring offense against the number one scoring defense. If you believe that old football axiom that defense wins championships, then you would say that the Rams are going to win this game. The Rams are really good on defense. And I think the key piece to that whole thing, Nick, is Ramsey, because he gives them the ability to go over and just take out a receiver. I watched him preparing for the show this week. Went back and watched all of his tapes against number one receivers. Like, I'm talking about good guys. I watched him against Diggs. I watched 2 games against Hopkins, and they did nothing against him. As a matter of fact, a lot of times in the Buffalo game, Josh Allen wouldn't even go that way, which really plays into their strength. It helps them because it allows them to use another defender on the other side of the field. Now, he won't be with him all the time, but certainly in crucial passing situations, I think he will be. And that's going to give that rush a chance to get after AR. I think that's going to be a critical part of it. And then the other thing, if you go back in history, if you're a Packer fan, back in the Jordy Nelson days, the thing that made the Packers so dynamic was that when AR would get in trouble, he'd extend the play outside the pocket, and it was almost like they had a sixth sense of where the other one was going to be. And so Valdez-Scantling is going to have to be that guy, I think, for Rodgers if they take Adams away and then he gets pressured and the pocket breaks down and he's got to move around. And I think Aaron Jones is going to have to be a factor too, because let's face it, the Packers have given up a lot of yards on the ground, and that's the Rams' strength. And if that plays out that way in the game, then the Rams have got a real puncher's chance. If the Packers are able somehow to stop that run, and I think Mike Pettin's got to get out of his nickel defense. He's got to get big people on the ground and win first down. If they can do that and make Jared Goff throw from the pocket, especially in the weather that's going to be presented to him in Lambeau Field, I think it's going to be tough for the Rams. So I think it's going to be a great game, a close game, and I think again, it's going to really come down to what the Packers are able to do against that awesome running attack of the Rams.
Yeah, historically, you've only got to look at the NFC Championship game last year. The Niners absolutely run roughshod all over the Packers D, and I don't think they've improved it much this year. I'm interested because obviously, apparently Aaron Donald is going to play. There has been rumours out there from Schefter, I think a couple of others, you may have a broken rib. You're going into freezing cold temperatures. I think Green Bay need to run it down his throat to make him ineffective. Jalen Ramsey, yes, on the outside, he's got to take care of Adams. Do you think the Rams have got a shot, realistically?
Yeah, I really do. I really do think they've got a shot. I think, a lot of it's going to come down to how they play offensively early. If they can, effectively, do what they do, which is obviously run the ball, get the quarterback on the edge on the nakeds, the bootlegs, the play action stuff, then they've got a chance, because this Packers defense is really just the middle of the pack. Now they will get you turnovers in the back end, but they've also been known to give up huge plays in the back end too. So that is to me the chance that the Rams have.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting game. So who are you going to go for then? Are you going for a Green Bay win, or are you going for a Rams shock?
Well, no, I think the Packers will win, but I think it's going to be a much closer game than people anticipate it's going to be.
Yeah. No, it should be an interesting one. This next one again. You don't know how this one's going to go. Well, I certainly don't. The Ravens and Bills. Now, to me, this has the potential to be the best game out of all four. What do you think on this one, Jeff?
Well, I think it's just exactly what you said. I think this is the game that I anticipate the greatest because I want to see what Wink Martindale and that defense can do against Josh Allen. All right. And again, just so you kind of get a sense, when I do my research for a game, I go back and I look at tape against a like quarterback. And the closest you can come to Josh Allen is Deshaun Watson, a guy who's got a big arm and he can run and, move around and extend plays and all that stuff. Nick, they sacked him 5 times. I mean, they really got after him when they played. Now, obviously, I think Buffalo has a better offensive line than the Texans do, but it's, again, an indication that, Wink Martindale's really good at structuring defense or blitzes particularly, but defenses that make it hard on your protection. So Buffalo's offensive line's got to play well. The thing that I think Baltimore's got to do is they've got to make sure that they don't give up huge plays over the top to Adams and John Brown. They can let Beasley get his catches underneath, but they got to keep the big plays to a minimum. And that's been their strength all year long, is that they don't give up a lot of big plays. Offensively, everybody knows the deal. I mean, it's that undersized middle of the defense for the Bills, with Ed Oliver and Mike Milano and Tremaine Edmonds. Those guys are going to have a great game because they're going to get tested a bunch. Nobody in football runs it as much as Baltimore does. Nobody runs it as well as Baltimore does. Nobody does as many things with the run game as Baltimore does. And kind of an X factor guy is going to be Patrick Ricard, number 42, the fullback. He's 300 pounds at fullback, right? So it's like having another guard, and they do a great job of starting him outside the formation and then bringing him back in motion, and all of a sudden he's up on a linebacker. Milano weighs 216 and Ricard weighs 300. So Milano's going to be giving up 80 pounds when he has to go in there and wait up on those lead plays and the counters and all that other stuff. So Lamar Jackson got to play well, and I think this one, Nick, I think this one comes down to the team that makes the fewest mistakes, the fewest turnovers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm watching the Ravens last week. They featured the fullback quite a lot, didn't they? Taking him out into the flat and just dumping the ball off. And as you say, he is a lump. So, yeah, I mean, as I say, this is intriguing. Can they stop Lamar Jackson and the RPO? Obviously, Hollywood Brown is starting to play a bit better, and he did throw it quite a bit last week. So it's an interesting game, definitely. Who do you think is going to edge this one, Jeff? I got really mixed feelings on this one because, first of all, Cole Beasley's at the end of his career now. He's been in the league, I think, 9 years. He probably isn't going to play very many more years. And to me, I'd love to see him get an opportunity to get to a Super Bowl. For those Buffalo fans, Hamilton is 45 minutes north of Buffalo, so there's you get a sense of how, you talk about Cleveland fans being starved for a win. These fans are absolutely, in love with this team, and they want to see it. They want to see, Josh Allen take them to the Super Bowl. I personally think the Ravens will win this unless Lamar. The only way that I think the Ravens don't win it is if Lamar unravels, if he has one of those playoff games like we've seen him have. But if he plays as well as he can play, I think he'll be the guy that is the deciding factor in this. Definitely. It's again, and good morning, Izzy. Nice for you to join us. It's one of those ones. It's a coin flip, I think, as you say. If Lamar does what Lamar's done in the playoffs the last couple of years, the Bills could win it, and the Bills Mafia could be jumping off into tables in the parking lot all on their own. You never know. This next one as well, and I've been looking at this one, and as you say, I watched a lot of the Chiefs and a lot of the Browns this season. Are you worried about this Chiefs run defense against the three-headed monster they've got in Cleveland? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not as concerned about that as as I would be if I was Green Bay. I think the Chiefs defense is a little bit underappreciated. When you got an offense as prolific as they are and a big personality like Pat Mahomes and, all the great weapons that he's got and Kelsey and all that, all the attention goes to the offense. But their defense is a defense that turns the ball over. They're going to make you work for everything that you get. I think Steve Spagnuolo is a really good defensive coach who will come up with a great game plan. In the end, Cleveland's ability to run the ball really, to me, hinges on what Cleveland's defense does. Because if Cleveland's defense can't stop the Chiefs and they let Patrick Mahomes go up and down the field a couple times and all of a sudden it's a 14-3 game or something, then it's going to be tough on Cleveland to be able to just run the ball enough to win the game. So I think, that's going to be the biggest thing. Cleveland's defense, to me, will tell the story in this one. If they can get stops, if they can make Mahomes work, if they don't give up those big chunk throws that you see, then I think they've got a chance. But here's the other thing, Nick. Nobody in football is better after a bye than Andy Reid. And he'll come up with a wrinkle or two, I'm sure, that Cleveland hasn't seen. And he has a really good sense of when to call those things. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Cleveland holds up early in this game. If they can stay in it early and get to halftime within a score, the confidence will start to build on the Cleveland sidelines. And, they've done a great job all year. So I think it's going to be a heck of a game, too.
Definitely. I mean, I think everyone expects Cleveland to come out running the ball early. I think the first drive, obviously, for both teams will sort of maybe set what's going to happen. And I think if Cleveland do come out and run it down their throat, as you say, Mahomes, Tyreek, I mean, their offense is crazy. If it gets into a shootout, it could get away from Cleveland. But no, it's an interesting game. So who are you siding with, the home team, Jeff?
Yeah, I think you got to – right now, Kansas City to me is the most complete team in the tournament. And they got great coaching. They got great special teams. They defense is an opportunistic defense. And I mentioned about Spags. And then Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy with that offense. I just think it's too much to ask of Cleveland right now in their development.
Fair enough. Right, and on to the final game before I let you go. It's the OAP Bowl. What have you got? What do you think on this one, Bucks Saints?
Well, the Saints have really had their way with the Bucks both times they played this year. And really, this is the first time that Drew Brees has had his full complement of weapons, right? I mean, he lost Michael early in the game, Michael Thomas in the first game at the end, rather. And then he didn't have in the second game. He's been hurt himself. I mean, this is the first time they've ever come into this thing healthy, and they've dominated 2 games in a row. That said, it is really hard to beat an NFL team or a pro team 3 times in the same season, especially a good one. And I think the Bucs are a good team. The deep ball's back in Brady's arsenal. I'm a little concerned about their ability to protect him because they lost their right guard, to a busted ankle. He won't play in this game. And, so that Saints defense pretty doggone good. So I think for me, because the game's in New Orleans and because all of those weapons in New Orleans are healthy and that defense has dominated Tampa the way they have, I'm going to go with the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with no fans in the stadium and things like that, we all know that the dome is really, really loud when they're playing. Again, it's another tough one to call. As you say, Brady's deep ball. I mean, he's defying age. Whereas you've seen Drew Brees, he hasn't really got that deep shot anymore, like he had a few years ago. So, and obviously Antonio Brown's there. He's given them another dimension. Gronk has all of a sudden woken up again. So, no, as I say, there's four great games, and it'll be really, really interesting. So who have you got in the studio with you tonight, Jeff, for the games?
Tonight we got Baldy he's going to be on remote from Florida because he wasn't able to travel because of the COVID restrictions. And Sean and I and Neil will be in the studio. And then we've got the around the NFL podcast guys will come with us, during the breaks every once in a while through the thing. So it'll be a good show. Make sure you stay up and watch it.
I shall definitely stay for the first one. I don't know if I'll make the second one. But definitely. Jeff, as ever, thank you very much for coming on. As you know, we appreciate it.
My pleasure, Nick. Take care. And again, tell all the guys on the panelists, I said, I hope their team wins. But that means half of them are going to have to lose, I guess. But
And don't forget, I will tell Pete that you called him out and said that he should be on here instead of hiding. But that's another story. Jeff, as ever, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Aloha. See you. Bye.
There you go. That's the one and only Jeff Reinbold. Right. Well, now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of what's going on. We've had his views. Now we're going to bring on some fans to have their say on the game. Unfortunately, I did try and get a Ravens fan, but they declined, couldn't make it, whatever. So we're going to do that game first and get it over and done with. I'm bringing on my sidekick, the fluffer. He did want to be called a floater, but he is a fluffer. Carl, 2 Feet in Bounds podcast. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm very, very good. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Very, very excited for this weekend. Sorry, go ahead.
So you're going to be doing the stats and everything for the Ravens. Let's bring on our one-legged friend from the UK Bills, Matt. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Got all pumped up. Got a load of tunes going on, and just getting all fired up for tonight. It's going to be a late one, early finish in the early morning. So got the beers, got all the food ready to go.
Has your alcohol content gone up 20-fold, or is that?
No, it hasn't actually. I'm not having that much. I still got to take injections and all that. So can't drink as much as I want to drink, which kind of probably is a good.
My excuse, Matt, is it helps with the pain, especially in this last in a Niners fan.
I think I'll cause more damage, especially with the knee, and if I drink too much and try and get upstairs at night.
So
wake the whole
Matt,
house up.
Obviously, Bills fan, you got through last week. Some would say only just against Indianapolis. What's your keys, do you think, both sides of the ball for your team this week? What do you think?
Obviously, the main one is containing the run and contain Lamar. I mean, last year we actually managed to do that quite well. I think we limited him to about 185 yards combined passing and rushing on there, and really stagnated that rush game on there. It's something that I think we can see and we can replicate on there. I think the one key, if he's healthy, he's been a healthy scratch the last 3 games, is actually Trent Murphy, because he may not be known as a pass rusher, but he's a very good run defender and actually set the edge well that we can contain. And obviously another key would be Milano on defense, because more than likely he's going to have to take care of Andrews. He's going to have to look after maybe spy Jackson. So just containing that run and just making Lamar try and beat us through the air is the key on defense. On offense, it's bend don't break. Just continue exactly what we're doing. I mean, Allen's 5-0 against a top 10 defense with a passer rating of 112.2 and a 70% completion rate. And against the blitz, and we know the Ravens are the most heavily blitzed team in there, Allen's got 19 touchdowns, 1,850 yards, both first in the league, and 13 big-time throws, third in the league. And he's also 17-0 when he has a touchdown in the air and on the ground. So obviously stats are great. I can probably regale them for ages, but obviously again it's down to what happens on the day, and anything could happen. But with those game plans and the way Allen's actually been all season, I can really see us actually getting through to our first championship game in decades.
Nice. Carl, what do the stats say for the Ravens, and what do you can obviously, if anyone hasn't checked out Carl's YouTube channel, 2 Feet in Bounds, he has done his own show on that. So, Carl, what did you say on your show regarding this game?
It was so much as Lamar Jackson having to get the monkey off his back for starters. All this talk saying he's 0-2 in the playoffs. He had to get a win last week. It was apparent. And he went back to his old style of play, which was just running with the ball. 136 yards rushing he ended up having. For the Ravens, it was just a solid way. And defensively as well, they managed to contain Matt Ryan. More importantly, they managed to stop Derrick Henry. If you stop Derrick Henry, you're 99% of the time, you're going to win the game. Dobbins and Edwards, they had their fair share of rushing yards, I think 81 yards between them. This game against Buffalo is actually going to be very, very tricky. I think the one weakness I see in the Bills is the run defense. If Jonathan Taylor can put up over 100 yards rushing, that is alarm bells ringing. And
he only put up 78.
Sorry, say again, Matt?
He only put up 78 against us last week.
He only put 78.
Yeah, we haven't had a 100-yard rusher since against us since Drake in the Arizona game. Other than that, it's been 44 yards, 47, 18, 61, 69, 29, and 78 yards. So it's improving, but I do agree. Our run defense is something that needs to be fixed, especially when you're coming up against the triple-headed monster.
Was that all to do with Zach Moss, or was that Devin Singletary as well? Naheem Hines, beg your pardon.
Obviously he got some. Obviously Hines, he's a good runner as well on there, so I think he got just a little bit less on there. But obviously, if we're talking about leading rusher, then obviously Taylor got 78. If we're talking about the whole team, then yeah, they actually blitzed us for 160 odd on there. But as I say, it's something that I agree with you on, that our rush defense needs very much improving, and I keep saying that every week on my podcast, that it's something that they need to fix. And I think possibly the loss of Star Lutulele at the game when he opted out was probably the biggest down threat, because even though he didn't have the stats that showed up, he took those double teams. He allowed the rest of that defensive line to make the plays. So that's definitely something I've hoped that they've worked on this week.
Yeah, the only other thing as well is during your game against the Colts last week, did you not see? I think it was there was 2.5 minutes to go when the Colts had the ball on the final drive. Do you know the lack of urgency that they had in pushing the ball down the field? It wasn't exactly like, it's like they were still playing in the first quarter. I said we'll have a huddle and then we'll make our time and we'll make our play. Like, no, you're down by 3 points there. Get into field goal range to take it to overtime, or if you really want to go for the killer, get the touchdown. The lack of urgency, that just scratched my head. If the Ravens are in that similar situation, John Harbaugh is not going to go that passive. He's going to say, get the fuck down that end of the field.
Exactly. I think that is the one key they were going to look for in that game. I mean, if they run no huddle, if they don't make substitutions, then I can see towards the end of that the game, I can see the Ravens really trying to put pressure, especially if we're up by a few scores on there. I can see it being squeaky bum time should it actually come down to that with that offense of the Ravens. Yeah,
Bills need to contain Jackson at all times. They have to make Jackson throw outside of the numbers. You cannot give the middle up, because guess who's sitting waiting there for a first down completion? Mark Andrews.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think they had the game plan last year. Okay, we lost by a touchdown, I believe, but we had that game plan last year. we know it can be done. We've just got to improve from last week. I mean, our tackling was that bad that we gave up loads of yards after contact because our tackling was poor. I think a couple of times we had Jonathan Taylor behind the line down, but we didn't wrap him up properly, didn't tackle him properly, and he gained those extra yards. I think it's small margins on there, but we definitely know we have to improve our defense, especially our tackling and all that. And should we do that, we may be able to then contain Jackson, Dobbins, and Edwards, and hopefully then actually push up to a good win.
If you stop the running game of Jackson and co, I think the Bills do have a chance at this. But Josh Allen is just playing at a ridiculously high level. If you look at his rise up since he's been drafted, he's got better 30% in every single season. He's just got better and better and better. And
exactly.
there was talk of him being in the MVP conversation. It is still a possibility. That's if Rodgers and Mahomes fall flat on their face this weekend.
Yeah.
But at this moment in time, Josh Allen is playing outstanding. You look at all the class in 2018. Josh Allen looks to be the best out of the lot. It maybe even excluding Lamar Jackson because he has been to divisional round. So
I think it is right. I mean, he does deserve to be in the conversation for MVP. I mean, the way he has actually come and his trajectory's gone. I think the credit for that has to go to Bean, McDermott, and DeBoer, and I'm just hoping that we win so we can at least keep the ball for at least another couple more weeks. I hear he's had
that's another thing I was going to bring up. DeBoer, obviously, he's according to reports I hear this morning, he is now going to be he is now the number one candidate for the Los Angeles Chargers. We know when an offense corner goes to another team to be a head coach for the next season, do you reckon he could have? We always say, is he really 100% focused on this game, or has he got one mind focused on where he's going next season?
I think being a Western New York local, actually come through a system and actually just playing and just pretty much coaching from his heart. I think his heart will be in there. He'll be focused on this game. As a part of me actually wish him luck if he actually does accept it. A part of me is actually there with the anchor, chucking it around him, just dropping it down, saying you're not going anywhere. You're staying in Western New York, but it's just the way he's actually worked with Allen. They've got the pieces around him for the last couple of years, and obviously now we're reaping the benefits. And I think last year with Allen, that loss in the playoffs against the Texans, I think just really clicked. He had a light bulb moment. It just clicked into place. And this year, he's just been playing lights out so well that he's already smashed records this season, franchise records, that the only way is up. And hopefully we should, if the ball goes, we've got a couple of good in-house replacements, probably in Ken Dorsey and our wide receiver coach, Chad Hall, or we've got other offensive coordinators that would welcome the chance to work with a guy like Josh Allen, who obviously everyone last in 2018 said, should he have really gone at 7? He should have gone a lot lower, maybe second, third round. But it's not just the production you're looking at in college. It's actually what he can do mentally and how well he can actually adapt and work, which really actually shows what good evaluation that McDermott Bean had and what he can actually he can do and what he can continue to do.
Okay, so what's your score prediction? Go on, Nick.
No, I'm just about to say, Matt, come on. Is your heart going to rule your head, or is it going to be vice versa? What do you think the score is going to be in this game?
It's going to be close. It's going to be a one-score game. I think last week I said that we'll probably get at least a 2-score win over the Colts on there. I think this one will be a lot closer. I've gone for, I think I went on my podcast, something like 27-21 in favor of the Bills.
Ooh.
I think we can actually we've got enough in us, and as I say, we have the game plan, we have the players on defense to actually to look to contain. And I think if we go up quite a bit, try and force Lamar to actually throw and try to make them abandon the run a little bit more than they usually do. I could see us heading off to the divisional championship or the AFC championship and one step closer to the big prize.
If that does happen, Matt, the local hardware stores better stock up on a shitload of tables because motherfuckers are going to be jumping through them.
If they do, and my leg's better, I would say if my leg does get better, which is probably not going to be for a long time, but when it does, if we get to the Super Bowl and win it, I will actually get a folding table and jump through it.
We will hold you to that, Matt. Trust me. Even if we have to wait until the summer to get you on to do a live jump.
Might be longer, depending on what the consultant says in a few weeks' time. But awesome. I'll put it down and I will.
But if you do decide to jump through a table, you have to do WWF attitude era. You have to set the damn thing on fire before you jump onto.
No. If Alan wins the regular season MVP, the Bills win the Super Bowl, then yes, I will actually I will think about Flame. But if the Bills win the Super Bowl, I'm gonna get a folding table and jump through it, even if the missus shouts and screams at me for it. It's gonna happen.
Or you could body press her through it just for a bit of a twist. Matt,
you probably won't like that.
Let's see if we see you again next week.
You will.
Enjoy, mate, whatever happens, you've had a great season. Enjoy it, my friend, and we will talk again very, very soon. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you, Matt.
Thank you very
much. Good luck.
Good luck
tonight.
Bye-bye. There you go. That's Matt from UK Bills. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting game for sure, Carl. Right, let's go now with Rams versus the Packers. So let's bring on George. There he is. George, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Nervous for 9:35, but good.
Good to have you on. First time visit to the show. That's awesome. Good to have you on. Now I've just got to find Stuart. There he is. Stuart, representing the Packers. How you doing?
How's it going, man?
Good. Right. Packers at home. Stu, what are your hopes and how do you think the Packers are going to win this game today?
I think if we can show up defensively on first and second down and stop Cam Akers getting going and force Goff to play from the pocket and make the plays, I think that's where the game's going to be decided because, as Jeff alluded to earlier, it's strength on strength on the other side of the ball, our offense against their defense. I think Rodgers can put up points on them, just not as many as he has been in recent weeks. So to me, it's about that front four. If we can get Kenny Clark, Zed, Snacks Harrison, stuff on the run early on downs, putting it on Goff, then I think we're in good shape then. So there.
Yeah, I definitely think that run defense is a worry for you boys. Offensively, obviously going up, Devontae Adams is going to go up against Jalen Ramsey. We know what he's like as a shutdown corner. Does that concern you at all?
Not really, because I know Jalen Ramsey doesn't actually travel quite a lot. So he doesn't. And we move Adams around quite a bit. We put him on the right, we put him out on the left, we put him in the slot. But I think it's going to be a big night for Tunyon, the tight end. Look for him in the intermediate routes. Rodgers likes him. He's only had, I think, 6 drops all year on something like 54 targets. He's tied with Travis Kelce for touchdowns. He's gone very much under the radar as part of our attack. So I would look for him to be maybe Rodgers' second favourite. MVS, hit and miss. Lazard, he can make the odd play. But as I say, I think if we move Adams on the slot, I don't think Ramsey will follow him. But if Ramsey's one-on-one, then we know what he can do. We've seen him shut down DK Metcalf, Hopkins, the very best in the league, and he loves that confrontation. So it'll be interesting to see where Rodgers can go aside from him.
Yeah, that tight end of yours, I can't remember what game it was. Was it? I think it was a game where he scored 3 touchdowns and he was like the forgotten man in the end. He was wide open.
Yeah,
And that was just crazy how, like, and you could see the defense sort of like, how the hell did he get in the end zone with no one near him?
I think it's almost worked on his advantage, only having the true number one wideout and Adams, because as you say, all the focus goes on him, especially in the red zone, and he just kind of sneaks out of the backfield, throws a quick block into the end zone, as you say, and everybody's forgot about him. He's wide open and he's making hay. So he is.
And your run game's quite important as well to set up the play action tonight, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it is. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, AJ Dillon was very, very, very good against the Titans. It'll be interesting to see if they use him much. Big bodied back, especially the likes of Donald, if he's struggling with a rib injury, playing it up the middle, see testing Donald early on. But I think Aaron Jones coming out of the backfield, Rodgers likes to motion him out and they maybe a slot receiver out wide. He can be very good in the passing game, but if we can get the run game going, as you say, Nick, the play action pass is just, it's insane what Rodgers can do when he's out on the edge and he's got, full max protection. He can pick any defense apart regardless of how good it is.
Definitely. Just before we go to George, we did have a query from Brad Ward, who is coming on very shortly to talk Cleveland. What's the weather like what is the weather going to be like later on for this game? Is there going to be snow? What's going to be?
I think there's no snow forecast at the minute. It's very low. It's in around 1 or 2 degrees Celsius. I think there's a bit of one, so it'll be very cold, very chilly. No snow forecast, but we all know that can change in a heartbeat. I would like to see the snow because we've seen how the Titans came up against the Packers in the snow. They didn't deal very well, and I don't fancy a team travelling across the country from lovely sunny California coming out and the frigid temperatures in Lambeau Field against Aaron Rodgers, who has numbers, and the snow and the cold is just insane. So it is.
I can definitely adhere to cold weather because normally in my bunker that I broadcast from it is freezing, but I've actually got a history here. George.
Yeah, I think it's
Aaron Donald injured, saying he's a go. But I have seen rumours of a cracked rib, etc. If it is cold, not even snowing, is that really going to affect you boys on the defence?
It's going to affect us regardless, right? I think even if he's playing at 90%, he's still a brilliant player. He's the best defensive player there's been in generations. But I think if he's playing hurt, he's a unit. He'll play through it, but he's not going to be playing as effectively. I think, as has been said, if you can run at him hard at the start, try and impact those ribs, it's going to be tough. But I think the one bit of hope I take from it slightly is I think actually if you look at the Seattle game last week, when he was out of the game in pretty much most of the second half, you suddenly start to get a bit of the coverage isn't quite as aligned because you're thinking about the double team, triple teams on Donald. And some of the other D-line got the chance to come through. So we've got a great defense. He's probably the biggest part of that with Ramsey. If he is hurt, it's going to be an impact. But I'd still rather have him playing at 90% than a lot of other players playing at 100%.
Definitely. And do you now? I'm obviously a San Francisco fan, as you can see, and I don't like the Rams, and I certainly don't like the Seahawks. But watching that game last week was hilarious. One-armed or one-handed Jared Goff,
yeah,
absolutely, and that defense made it big. It was for me, it was absolutely fantastic because I hate the Seahawks with a passion. So for me, that was great. Are you disappointed that Wolford went out early last week? Do you think you have a better chance with Goff? Or obviously, because Wolford had no tape on him, right? So, and he won the last season game. Who would you honestly rather see in there if you had the choice tonight?
So, if both healthy, I'm probably maybe a bit of a minority here to talk recently, but I'd still give it to Goff. He took us to a Super Bowl 2 years ago. He's got experience. He's gone through that. I know Sean McVay was very excited by Wolford and the idea of opening the playbook a bit with someone a bit more mobile. but both 100%, I think I'd probably stick with Goff. But with Goff's thumb as it is, I would rather have seen Wolford fit playing today with Goff injured. I know a lot's been said about his cold weather, but it's kind of, he's had, 2 games? He's 1-on-1. Goff in the cold. There's not a huge sample size to go from. He's a California boy, California college, California team. So not got much experience of the cold, but 1-on-1's a tough sample size to say you can't do it. But I think as Stu said, I think if the biggest thing is going to be stopping Cam. If you can stop Cam Akers, then it's going to put a huge amount of pressure on Goff. And as we've seen this year, he sometimes makes some poor decisions, gives some easy picks away when he has that pressure on him.
Yeah, I mean, and as a Niners fan, we saw it. Didn't see it so much this year when we beat you twice. But if you roll him out and get him moving, he's a lot better than trying to climb the pocket and stay in there with pressure in his face. And that would be my only knock. I mean, because he has got the tools, but as you say, he can make some amazing throws, and then you look at him and think, "What the hell did you just do?" And that worries me. That worries me with Goff.
Whereas
really does.
I think if Wolford had been playing tonight, I think I would be a bit more worried as a Packers fan, because he's so mobile that if he was to break contain and we're man coverage in the back, he could have made big runs. Whereas I just don't think Goff. I think there's been teams have just set up and said to him, "Look, there's a space, take it," and he hasn't taken it. He doesn't want to run. He doesn't want to move.
Have you seen him? I mean, Goff in draft mode is hilarious. You don't.
Yeah, Goff, as James has posted on here, saying Goff is 0-2 in weather in minus degrees, 0 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
Excellent.
So
sounds like a standard game, Jared Goff. But
I don't trust Goff. I've never since Super Bowl 53. I've never trusted him. He just doesn't wow me. He's a conservative quarterback at best.
Do you think they might move on from him in the summer?
So it's tough, right?
The contract is not as bad as Wentz's, but it's still bad.
It is, yeah. I mean, the amount of paid him. I mean, obviously, us and 16 other teams are all talking about Deshaun Watson and trades there, but I don't know. I mean, there's a huge amount of cap there. Would you really want to take the cap for Goff? I think you've got to stick with him with the cost. Like, the hit's too big.
It just feels like Sean McVay's starting to have to coach around him, which is a bit of a worry if you're a Rams fan.
But if we go down, if you look, we're in 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 situations in the 4th quarter. How often does McVay just run the ball? Like, he doesn't trust, this season, especially back half of this season. There's just a lack of trust, I think, from McVay to Goff for throwing it for the risk of INTs.
Also, I've said on this program quite a bit as well when we talked about Jared Goff, is McVay is in his ear right up until that 15 seconds when they cut it off. And Goff should be seeing that it's man coverage, it's this, it's that. And obviously we don't know what's being said in his ear, but it's got to have an effect. And you look at Goff sometimes, and he does look like a deer in the headlights. And again, like Carl said, he does worry me. And all this talk about Deshaun Watson, and apparently he was in a Niners shirt and all this, forget it. There's no way they can mortgage that. No way are they going to mortgage that. As much as I'd love to see it, I mean, it's not going to happen. Right, we're going to move on, guys. But Stu, what is your score prediction for tonight?
24-13 Packers.
Nice. George, do you hold any hope of coming away with a W?
Yeah, I got my heart's got hope, but my head's not got much. I think if I go with my head, I think I'd go 28-21 Packers. I think if I go with my heart, I'm going 27-24 in OT with Matt Gay kicking the winner, take it through. I think that's with the kicking shovels we've had. That's my heart. That's my hope.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, again, this is one of these games that could go either way. And it'll be interesting to see. Oh God, yeah! If Goff is Oh my God!
I'd rather see Johnny Hecker take the snap.
I'd rather Christian Hackenberg take the snap, for God's sake.
That's a very good point, Izzy. Can you imagine Blake Bortles? But to be fair, when he did win a playoff game, didn't he? I think, or at least one playoff game.
Yeah,
He won two. He won two.
If
Yeah.
Blake Bortles comes on and
2017, he beat the Steelers in the divisional round and fell to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game.
if Blake Bortles comes on and leads the Rams, they won over Packers and Lambeau, I will never be seen again.
So we've got someone might be jumping on a table, and now we've got someone that's going to go MIA. And if Bortles comes on and beats you, then I won't let you live it down. Trust me. Guys, enjoy the game tonight. Let's hope it's a good game. It isn't one-sided one way or the other. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming on. And as I say, take care.
Good one.
Thank you.
All right.
There you go. So that's one out. Oh God, Blake Bortles. Can you imagine? Jesus.
Oh, I could just see the takes. I could just see the takes on American sports talk shows already. Oh my word! That's one's going to live it down.
Right, we are going to save the main event of Chiefs and Browns till last because obviously that's quite a big talking point. And Mr. Smug is sitting in the background, just loving it. He's got his Travis shirt on. Let's go with the OAP Bowl next. We've got my man Shark representing the Bucks. I've just got off.
All right.
How you doing? And there you go. James, unless he's put a weird top on, I think he's I think he might be supporting the Saints. Shark, talk to me. The OAP Bowl. What are your thoughts?
It's going to be a special game, isn't it? We've got to admit that. You're talking of two of the greatest to go at it this Sunday in a playoff game. Personally, from an outsider's perspective, if I had nothing on the line, I'd be excited for this game. So naturally, being a Buccaneers fan, I am shitting it. I think there's a lot of things that could go wrong or right for us. It's really, I know that I spoke to James yesterday on a different podcast, and we mentioned very different opinions on Mike Evans because obviously he's been very quiet against Marshawn Lattimore, but Marshawn Lattimore decided to put out a tweet after the games this year. And see, I love the things that come back to bite people. So I would love Mike Evans to go and put 3 touchdowns up and just tweet back like, yeah, see you next year, But I think the receiver core is the big one to watch. Certainly, you've got all these offensive weapons. You say about the Brady deep ball earlier, we have to use them. It's as simple as that. Like Marshawn Lattimore's a fantastic cornerback, but we can really get at these lower down the roster cornerbacks and really punish them with players like Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin. So for me, it's certainly going to be an exciting game. Certainly going to be high scoring, but I think as long as we can get a couple early touchdowns, we can really make the Saints think that hold on a second, this isn't the team we played twice this year, and we can start running up a score and start playing some football they haven't really been able to react to.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I know age has got a lot to do with it, but I mean, Brady has been looking like 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Well, yeah, he's 42 and he's got our franchise touchdown records for passing, so he's been here 1 year. You know what I mean? So that's.
Let's be honest. He hasn't had a lot of competition in the last 15 years. So. It's going to be a good game. James, could be Breeze's last game. Firstly, before you say anything, win or lose, do you think this is Breeze's last season, which is heavily rumoured?
Yeah, I'm surprised he came back this year, to be honest. I thought he was going to retire at the end of last season. So, we've managed to get an extra year out of him. But yeah, this is going to be it. This is going to be it.
Interesting. So, what are your thoughts on the game? What do you think is going to be the keys for your team on both sides?
But like Sam said, we spoke last night. Peyton is 4-0 against Bruce Arians. Drew Brees is 5-2 against Tom Brady. The Saints were 2-0 against the Bucs this year. We've got the better players, the better team, the better coaches. And you can't discount the fact that in 2 games this year, the Saints have dominated on pretty much both sides of the ball. The first game of the season, you can probably throw out the Bucs' offensive performance on that one because it was their first game. There was no real preseason. They didn't have time to integrate all the players, whereas the Saints didn't really have a lot of roster churn and roster turnover this summer. So they were kind of playing with the team they finished with last year. But the second game, we all know what the score was. It was 38-3. The Saints absolutely dominated. They got pressure on Tom Brady. Tom Brady was hit 15 times, I think, in the game, sacked 4 times, threw 3 interceptions. Tom Brady is the type of quarterback that this Saints defense is built for and made for. He's an immobile, static quarterback. He can't move around the pocket very well. And if he sits in the pocket for any amount of time, the Saints are going to get after him, and you're going to see Tom Brady get inaccurate. I mean, I think I saw a stat today when I was looking at it that when under pressure, he completes 36% of his passes, which is second worst out of the starting 32 quarterbacks in the NFL this year. So for me, for the Saints to have the success that I think they're going to get, they're going to have to put Brady under pressure, make him get the ball out quickly. Because if he has to stand in the pocket and hold the ball, the Saints are just going to destroy that offensive line and they're going to make him look silly again.
Funny enough, we mentioned that last week, James, about getting pressure on Brady, and how did that work out?
But that was Washington, though. This is New Orleans.
I'd argue Washington's more worrying.
I was going to say Washington have got a better front 4. I don't think it helped that.
They don't have a better back 7, though.
That's true. It's not going to be as easy to get the ball to the receivers, but I certainly think we can still buy Brady enough time to make big plays. It's all done. It's for me. You'll certainly get there on some plays, and we'll certainly be able to hold you up. For me, it comes down to whether or not if you make a big defensive back play early in the game, like say Marshawn Lattimore comes off, we try and hit Evans, we don't succeed like usual, and you come away with a pick, you instantly could be dangerous scoreline. But if we were to go and send a deep ball on you and get our way, say we go like, I think I remember it was a game a couple of years ago. I think it was the Fitzmagic game. Like he took the air out of that Saints defense just by throwing it over the top of them and just getting them worked up and frustrated with each other. So I think the first quarter could be absolutely massive because it really comes down to one big play could seriously change the whole outcome of this game, which is ridiculous when you're talking about 2 of the best ever.
Yeah, I mean. Sam, like we said last night, the running game is going to be pretty critical for this too. You've got the number 1 and the number 3 running defense in the league going up against each other, Bucs 1, Saints 3. Whichever team can have the more success running the ball, I think is going to be crucial. Latavius Murray and Taysom Hill practiced on a limited basis yesterday, and there is talk that Taysom Hill is going to be out this weekend, but Murray is going to play. If we were to lose both of those, it would be a really big hit to our running game. Because Alvin Kamara, as good as he is, he can't do it all. He's not the every down, carry the ball 30 times a game back. Whereas, when he's splitting the carries with Murray and, Hill takes the short running game as well, that's a big part of our offense. So, whoever kind of controls the running game, controls the clock.
Definitely.
It's going to be the big part of the game.
And you mentioned Murray there, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't in that second game. Latavius Murray had an absolute blinder. I'm pretty sure he went for like almost 102 touchdowns on himself. He had a really, really good game. So, yeah, he's certainly someone I'm worried about. And honestly, I think that could be one of the most underrated dual threat running back packages in the league. Like you talk about, a lot of people mention the Chiefs when they've got Le'Veon Bell playing a bit better as the second running back with Edwards-Helaire. You've got the Browns. But I really think this Saints running back core is a lot better than people make it out to be, especially when you've got the Swiss Army knife. Obviously, you say he's not there Sunday, but I'm talking in general terms. When imagine if you've got 3rd and short and they've got sort of like all 3 of them options. You can't really prepare to stop stop the Saints with how many of the things they can do. Like you can try your best with your playbook, but Sean Payton, especially his creativity, which is another worrying aspect, is there's so many things this Saints teams can do to us, and they used them all in one of the games, as you said, the 38-3. But yeah, you're not exactly the most flashy offense, and I do describe the Saints as quite a boring team at times, but you certainly move the chains, and I think you do that better than any other team in the NFC playoffs.
Yeah, we're not the offense we've been in the past. That's definitely true. But then this season, we've not had our full offense on the field. We've only had our full offense on the field for 2 games this year.
I was going to say that's
and one of those.
This game is you've got your complete team this week. I'm led to believe. Is that right, James?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if Taysom Hill's out, we're going to miss Taysom Hill. But apart from that, we've got everybody. And one of the other 2 games where we had all of our offensive weapons on the field was the Tampa Bay game in Week 9, where we won 38-3. So, the evidence is there that when the Saints have got all their weapons, they can do damage to the Tampa Bay defense.
And we have to be better prepared for it. We saw what happened last time. If we don't come in prepared, you're going to do it again. It's as simple as that. So, and I didn't actually know the stat about Bruce Arians and Sean Payton, but I remember last week Bruce Arians broke a duck of his, and that was I think it was you guys told me the stat about the only losing team to one of the 2 losing teams to win a wild card was a Ron Rivera team versus Bruce Arians. So hopefully he's still in the mood of breaking old habits.
Stats everywhere today.
Oh yeah, throwing them out.
Obviously, in last week's game against Washington, one of the Saints, let's just say little gems that they found, of course, was Deontay Harris. I mean, he caught for about 83 yards receiving in that game. He managed to pull the deep threat as a third wide receiver. So not only have you got Michael Thomas, to be the check down guy for Breeze, Emmanuel Sanders can take the top, and so too can Deontay Harris. And not only that, you've also got Jared Cook to defend as well, who, okay, he's not the fastest tight end, but he's a big guy. Everyone struggles to bring him down.
He loves a touchdown against us as well. He loves it, honestly. He seems to be. He tends to not have the biggest games, but he tends to have 3 or 4 ridiculously important plays. If I remember rightly, I think it might have been the first game this year. I remember it was a really important 3rd and 11. If we'd stopped you, we'd get you back in the game. And Jared Cook stood in the middle of the field going, "Hey, there's no one here," and it was just. He seems to just sort of be this big tight end that everyone should notice, go unnoticed. It's somewhat silly, especially with our linebacker core being as good as it is at times.
Yeah, and Carl, you forgot to mention there the Saints' leading receiver this year, and that's actually Alvin Kamara. He's got the most catches for the Saints this year.
Yeah, because obviously Michael Thomas has been out for pretty much nearly most of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be the OAP Bowl could be a really close game, could be really interesting, or one side could blow the other out, but it's certainly going to be interesting. James, who is coming out on top? Are you going to go for a home win, and what's your score?
Yeah, busting out the brooms for the 3rd time this year. Saints are going to win 34-20.
Ooh, so quite a big margin. Shark, what do you think?
We go there, and as Jeff said earlier, that teams are hard to beat 3 times in a season. So we go there, we get in their heads, they start getting angry with each other because there's a lot of attitude on that Saints defense. There really is. And this year they've been very good and it's been very positive. But hopefully if we can get under their skin, we can really run it up. So I'm going to go for the Buccaneers retired Drew Brees, 42-17.
Oh, wow. That's a blowout. That is a blowout.
Yeah.
James, before I let you go, what have you got? What's your retort for that 42-17?
Well, I knew he was going to say it because that's the exact same score that I think the same score we both said when we recorded the podcast last night. So I was expecting the score. There's going to be a lot of points scored by both teams. So, I wouldn't rule out a 40-38 type game. But, there's no way the Saints give up 42 points and only score 17. Not a chance.
See, me and James are on the same wavelength there. That's what I'm also thinking as well. High scoring, but not even a field goal in this game. In between,
Look, the Saints don't do well when it's close in the playoffs. They've got to blow a team out. The Saints have just got to blow a team out. When it's close, it's just not good.
You've got to get that monkey of disappointment off your back, though, because you had 2 games where you've been sucker punched, and obviously you've had one that was taken away from you by heinous ref ball. So
I will say that I said yesterday, and me and James both made this statement and agreed with it. The winner of this game is going to the Super Bowl because the proximity and the meaning of this game gives you too much confidence going into next week for me. I think
if Green Bay wins,
I
you
don't
have to go.
impressive.
I think if there's a team, whoever wins, if the Bucks win this game, I've got more confidence in Brady going to Lambeau because he obviously he's played for New England in 20 years, so he's used to cold weather, and he can rally his team up there to beat the Packers. I've got more positive for Brady to do it than I have for Breeze and the Saints to go up there.
Yeah, but Breeze is on his last legs, like you say. So if you give him this confidence, I think you get him over this hurdle. You get him over this hurdle when he goes all the way.
Saints have got the best road record in the league in the last 3 years.
It's a good job you're at home, I suppose, for me then.
How many times have you? Go on.
Go on, Carl. One last thing.
How many times in those games though has it been played in inclement weather? Exactly.
First time for everything.
Very warm division. The NFC South's a nice warm division, unfortunately. Yeah.
Izzy responds there. If Green Bay wins, I think Brady has a better chance, but not sure about his wide receivers or running backs. If you're playing cold weather, you run the ball a lot more, don't you?
I've got to admit, I think I disagree with that statement as much as one can. Like Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, Antonio Brown, Scotty Miller, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Could you give me a team with a better six than that?
Well, I could say Kansas City, but that will be Mr. Rogers' argument for that. What is the situation though with Ronald Jones?
It looks like he'll play.
Looks like he'll play. Okay, so you got your full.
Either way, I'm not too fussed either way. I mean, Leonard Fournette came out last week, and I think he did a phenomenal job. So, if it comes to Leonard Fournette, it's not exactly like you're lost in the position. So, but yeah, it'll definitely be a good addition.
It's going to be a good game. Another one to look forward to. James, Shark, thanks for coming on. May the best team win, and you never know, you may be getting that message for next week to come on. Who knows what's going to happen, guys? Thanks very much for joining. Really appreciate it.
Good luck,
Thank you.
Yeah, let's enjoy the weekend, guys.
Good luck.
There you go. Right. We have one more game to discuss before we then go around the horn and we choose the games. Now, he's been sitting patiently in the background in his little Travis Kelce, second best tight end in the NFL. Best this year. Scott, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. That's best all time, Nick.
No, it isn't. We've had this conversation.
I don't know if Shark's still watching, but get with me after this because I want some of whatever that dude's on after hearing that pick he just made about the Bucs blowing out the Saints. He's obviously got the hookup there. So, get with me. DM me after this, Shark.
Yeah, I don't know if he's drinking it or smoking it or what, but 42-17.
Or both.
Crazy. Now, I've been waiting to get my man on since last week's show. He came on, they showed up, they showed out, they kicked Pittsburgh.
Come on, you Browns. Come on.
Again. I mean, seriously.
Come on.
That was the gift that kept on giving.
Not only that, Nick. The Browns won that game. I mean, yeah, the Steelers made some mistakes, obviously the first drive, first ball, but the Browns dominated that game. They beat the Steelers up in the trenches, which is unusual for the Browns Steelers. We actually beat them up. Njoku was pushing TJ Watt off the pitch. That was one of the great signs to me. It was just a dominant win, I think, and set some records in doing so.
For 20 odd years. For 20 odd years, you have been the Browns have been the perennial punch bag in the NFL. Last weekend, that punch bag fought back.
Absolutely, in Pittsburgh.
It was beautiful. Trust me. It was just immense. Brad, if I can see Brad is in the background, but I don't know if he's got his camera on. Brad, if you can hear me, if you switch your camera on, we'll bring you in. It's going to be one of the best games.
Can you see me?
Oh, I don't know.
Yes, we can.
See you, right?
Well, I can through my screen anyway.
I can't see you. All I've got is the circle of doom at the moment. So hopefully it will catch up. The only thing I would say about, before we get to the Kansas City game, the only thing I would say I was kind of disappointed with Cleveland last week was the fact that they kind of went prevent defense, and then all of a sudden they let the Steelers back in.
I think because I know what you're saying there. I mean, I watched that game obviously live, and then I've watched it a few times since. And live, I was getting worried that the Steelers were coming back. When I watched it again a few times, just on the 40-minute one, so you cut out everything else, there wasn't the panic that I thought there was at the time. You know, they were playing their game. To me, they went from zone to coverage, man coverage, and that's when that is only when the Pittsburgh team started coming back, when we went out of zone. And you know, the Browns played a very good game, and I think they've got to do something very similar to Kansas if they stand a chance. But the Browns played defensively a very good game there and stepped up. I mean, you look at we had our second, third stringers out there. You had Dunn, Lamb, and Blake Hance, who Baker met for the first time. You know, in the locker room just before the game. You know, that between those three, they had 68 pass blocking snaps between them, and they only gave up 2 pressures and no sacks. And that's against the best blitzing team in the NFL for the last 4 years. So, you know, that's a phenomenal performance.
It's tough when you have a lead like that.
Carl, I'm going to have to leave the studio and come back in because Brad isn't on my screen at all. I can't hear him. I can't see him. So I'm going to hop out and come back in.
Okay. All right. Okay, go ahead, Brad.
I was just going to say it's tough when you have a lead like that big coming out of the second half. Of course, you're going to kind of play some prevent. You know, you don't want to give up the big play, right? You can't give up a one-play strike. You got to make them work it down the field. And they did quickly a couple times, right? I think Ben went like 8 for 8 on one drive where he kind of just diced them up and right down and scored. But once it got to like within 12, they kind of rolled up and tightened up the coverage and got back to what they were doing in the first half. That decision to punt by Tomlin at midfield was absolutely huge because then the Browns turn around and go right down the field and score. I mean, I was shocked that he didn't go for it right there.
I think everyone was shocked that he didn't go for it. There were so many mistakes that the Steelers made in that game, and we can forget how crap Big Ben was in the first quarter, all we can say. But it was just an unbelievable display from yours and from Ivan's team. They were just simply outstanding. You put the Steelers down and you never let them up.
And the good thing is, again, from a Browns perspective, playing the Steelers, you know, that was set 2 records. You know, 28 points in the first quarter, highest points total ever in the NFL playoffs, and 35 points was the highest road total ever in the NFL playoffs against the hated Pittsburgh. So that's brilliant. I love it. Not only do we win, we set some more records on Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's biggest defeat ever is against the Browns in 1989, I think it was, 51-0. You know, we've got some records on Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you had to get a lot of demons off your back there. They got a lot of demons. Shed a lot of demons on that one. That was a long time coming.
Definitely.
Well, the one thing is that the Browns, they have when they've led at half time in their last 10 games, they're 10-0.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was a great game, and let's put past glories behind us. Brad, I can actually see you now. I'm Nick. How you doing? Good to see you. Brought
thanks for having me.
On. No, pleasure's all mine. Got Dion on as well. I don't know if he's frozen. Oh, no.
He's
What's
there.
up? What's up?
No, Dion.
Nicholas.
How are you, fella?
Look at Mr. Rogers out here with his Kelsey jersey on. He's ready, isn't he?
Always.
Uh-huh.
Right, let's get this.
Flipping is coming, though. I'm going to tell you right now, they going to get you. You're not going to win this one. There ain't going to be no walk in the park, man. This is not going to be no walk in the park.
Blowtorch is thrown early from Dion. Scott, talk to me about this game. We all know Mahomes and all his weapons, etc. What's your feelings on this game?
Yeah, I mean, the Browns are a nice story, but the Chiefs have the better offense. They have the better defense. They're playing at home. When you look at that game last week, you were talking about it against the Steelers, and you can say whatever you want about they played prevent or they went soft. The Steelers all but handed them a 28-point lead in the first quarter, and then they beat them 37-20 the rest of the way. Patrick Mahomes has yet to play in a playoff game where he doesn't score at least 30 points. They average about 35 points a game. The Browns secondary is suspect. They can't stop the tight end position, and we all know Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the game, in the history of the game.
Slow down. He's not.
Debatable, but carry on.
He's not.
I mean, and if
When
people talk
healthy.
about, well, if the Browns can run the ball and shorten the game, but that only works if you can play defense, if you can get stops. You saw it against the Steelers. They tried running the ball there in the third quarter, and they got a couple stops, and the Steelers got the ball, and bam, down the field, touchdown. All of a sudden, it was a game again. The Chiefs are the better team. They're playing at home. I think the Chiefs are gonna come out. They've had the bye week. You know, Jeff Reinbold said that at the beginning. Andy Reid off the bye. I agree with him that they're the most complete team. A lot of people sleep on this defense, but they got the Honey Badger. They got Tyrann Mathieu. They got Chris Jones. They got Frank Clark. They got a rookie who, when you look at a lot of the metrics for the top cornerback secondary players in the league this year, he's up there in the top 3 or 4 or 5 in a lot of these key metrics that you see: passer rating against, yards per completion against, pass breakups. And he actually missed a couple games too that he was injured. So, yeah, the Browns, I'm not trying to disrespect the Browns. I'm not trying to say the Browns aren't a good team. I just don't think they're at the Chiefs level yet, and I think that they're in for a long day.
That's fair. I would say, I mean, you named all those names and stuff, but I would say they still don't really stop anybody very often, despite you naming all those good players and stuff. I mean, their defense is suspect at best. They give up a ton in the running game. They haven't been able to stop the run all year. I just think that, you know, I don't think either defense is very good, and I think both offenses are very good. I think some people underestimate a little bit of what the Browns passing game does. Like the Chiefs are going to come out and key on the run game. They're going to be like, we're going to stop the run. Well, that's the same thing the Titans did. That's the same thing that the Giants did. That's the same thing the Steelers did. And what Stefanski did is he came out and he threw the ball early. So, you know, he's taking advantage of what teams are keying on early, and they've got out the hot starts in all of those games. I mean, the Browns have put up 40-plus points in a couple games here against really good teams. You know, they've been in shootouts with the Ravens. They were in a big shootout, back and forth battle. I certainly think that where they are at disadvantage is experience and certainly the time off. Now, time off can help you, and in this day and age, I think that, you know, especially this year where teams are doing a lot of stuff on Zoom and not so much on the practice field, that time off is more beneficial, right, than in a normal year where you worry about rust. But Mahomes always comes out a little slow. He kind of has to get into the game a little bit. You know, he always comes out a little, you know, a couple series, couple 3-and-outs here and there, and then he'll start cooking. He's amazing, don't get me wrong. I think that certainly the Chiefs are the better team, but I think that the Browns, you know, given the right situation, have a chance to win the game. I'm not writing them off by any stretch of the imagination. I think that an interesting twist to this, and I'll let you guys talk. Joe Woods is the Browns defensive coordinator who was in San Francisco last year. So he prepped for 2 weeks for this Chiefs offense for the Super Bowl. The Browns play a lot of that same Seattle cover 3 that the 49ers played and held them down for 3 quarters with. You'll see some of that, and I think you're going to see a lot of light boxes daring the Chiefs to run as far as the defensive philosophy goes. And I think that, we saw the Chargers use that same defensive scheme and hold the Chiefs to 20 points earlier this year. It's something they've struggled with a couple times now. And I think that the Browns will use that and the light boxes to dare them to run and try to make Mahomes matriculate the ball down the field and hope for mistakes and turnovers. And they've been very opportunistic on defense when they've had the opportunity. I think that's the way they win the game, is you get a turnover here or there. If they can win the turnover battle, if they in games this year, the Browns are undefeated, 10-0 11-0, 12-0 now in games that they are 10-0 in games that they are neutral or won the turnover battle. So if they can do that, I think they have a good chance. And I do think that the run game is going to give the Chiefs problems. I do.
It's interesting you say that, Brad. And Scott, I'll come to you on this. I watched the preview show yesterday, and 21st ranked defense against the rush. Does that bother you, Scott? Is that an issue for you, or stats are stats and you don't know what's going to happen?
No, that doesn't bother me, because people have been saying that for 2 years, that's how you beat the Chiefs. You run the ball, and they've lost 1 game in those 2 years. I mean, if it was that easy, if that was the secret, we heard that last year in the playoff, the AFC Championship game with King Henry in the run game, and they shut him down to 70 yards. Look, the Chiefs defense, they were for most of the season, they were a top 5 scoring defense. I'm not sure. I didn't see it the last couple weeks. They held the Falcons offense, who had been lighting a lot of people up, to 14 points in the second to last game of the year. The defense is underrated on the Chiefs. And I don't see the Browns running their way to victory. The one team that's been able to beat the Chiefs really in the last year and a half is the Raiders, and they did it with big plays, beating them over the top and scoring 41 points. And if the Browns can do that, then they might have a chance. But again, I think the Chiefs score over 40 in this game, and I don't see the Browns getting there running the ball.
If Dion, you got something to say?
Okay, let's slow down here. The Chiefs are going to go 40 on the dog pound. They're going 40. You're calling that right now.
I'm calling it. The Ravens
Okay.
did it. The Steelers let
me just say this. Last year in the playoffs, what happened with the Chiefs? They won Super Bowl, right? But weren't they always coming from behind on a consistent basis? So to Brad's point, Mahomes starts slow. He does. He takes time to get warmed up before he actually starts making things happen. Now, what happens if you start slow and old hellhounds Browns over here start fast? What happens if that run game actually does get past that and starts to tear you guys up? So I don't think 40 is feasible. Maybe a good 30, but for me, I see that your run defense is going to be your weakness. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are nothing to laugh at. Like, those dudes are serious, and they do play, and they come to play every single time. Nick Chubb has been way better than people anticipated that he would have been. I can tell you right now, Baker Mayfield has been doing exactly what Stefanski wants him to do. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I counted him out without having Stefanski on the sidelines, strictly based on the fact that that's a hard deal, because your head coach can see things that these other coaches are not looking at. But they did. They broke off the Steelers, man. They broke them off. And I'm sorry. Look, let me tell you something. If me and Nick can be on this show, Pete, you better get back on. We lost the Super Bowl to Mr. Rogers, and we sitting here having a conversation. You got to suck it up, brother. I know it's a hard loss. We lost the Super Bowl.
Going back to this game, though,
you should be on here, Pete, talking to Hellhound and letting him rip you a new one, strictly because he whooped your ass. You got to look, man. You got to take your L's with a grain of salt and keep on pushing. But I honestly, I'm gonna tell you right now, I see this being a lot closer than that, and I don't see a 40 burger being put
I
up on
think
that Cleveland defense. I truthfully don't. I see y'all having a really big problem with Kareem Hunt and with Nick Chubb because here's the key. If you remember, what did Tyrann Matthew say when y'all won? I'm glad they stopped running the football because we couldn't stop that. So what did Shanahan do? The reason we lost that game was because he got comfortable. There's no reason you get comfortable against Patrick Mahomes if you've been watching him in the playoffs start to get blown out, and then randomly some act of God happens and the man just starts throwing the football all over the field. You don't give Patrick Mahomes an inch because he'll take 5 miles. So if you run the football, you control the clock, and your defense can go ahead and hold down those receivers, then you're fine. All you have to really do, the only 2 people you really have to stop as far as that receiving core, and I'm just going to be flat out honest with you, is Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. You can go ahead and throw Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, all these other players in there. You can even throw Le'Veon Bell around. It doesn't make a difference. If you stop Travis Kelce and you stop Tyreek Hill, those are the 2 main threats to anybody on the Chiefs offense, and they make up a lot of their offense. If you take those 2 X factors out, then he's going to have to try to run the ball with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You know what I'm saying? There's no Damian Williams because he's sitting at home, saying, I don't want to get COVID, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire damn near stole his job this year to an extent. But I can tell you right now, there is no 40 burger being put up on the Cleveland defense. That is not about to happen.
So Dion. They couldn't stop Juju Smith-Schuster and Deontay Johnson. You think they're going to stop Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce?
What do you mean they couldn't stop
how far
them?
they were up? They didn't need to. What was the significance of trying to stop them? You were blowing them out.
That's all garbage time.
Defense and give up garbage time points. Who cares about that? You really think the defensive coordinator walked in there and ripped them a new one for that? They don't care. They knew they were going to win that game. When you have that option, that's what you do. If we would have been up on you guys like that and we played prevent defense and gave up some garbage time touchdowns that we knew don't matter, what would be the point? But I saw you, Hellhound. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, and I'll just say, look, the Chiefs, in my opinion, the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. They should win the game. There are scenarios where the Browns can win, however, and it's been mentioned already. So the Browns have played better defenses and have come up with high-scoring games. The Browns can put points on any defense. Put 41 on the Titans, 42 on the Ravens, 48 on the Steelers, all of which have got better defenses than the Chiefs. So they can put up some points. You've also got to bear in mind the fact that I was listening to, as always do, Brad, I was listening to your podcast each week, and you made a very good point on that, which is the Browns aren't supposed to be here. They're not supposed to be in this position at this point. We're a year early. The pressure is completely off the Browns. We are playing completely free football, and that counts as well. If you put Hunt, who's going back to Kansas, he wants a big game. He's desperate for a big game. So Chubb and Hunt, I think, have got a good shout at putting up. If and as you say, Brad, if the Chiefs start slow and the Browns get some points early, like they did against the Steelers, then it could be a much closer game than people think. Because the Chiefs can score quickly and rapidly, and no doubt will do. And most people probably quite rightly are predicting the Chiefs are going to win this game. But I don't think it's going to be a big blowout, as people are thinking, for the reasons that have been mentioned here. The Browns are more dangerous than people think they are. And weakness is his secondary, not our offense.
One thing I would mention, and sorry, Brad, and I'd like yours and Ivan's thing. Do you think they may have played their best game last week, and today they could be? I'm not saying they're going to come out flat, but we have a saying in this country that last week was your cup final. So let's call it last week was your Super Bowl. do you honestly think you can raise your levels again to obviously stop what Kansas City can actually do? Do you think their candle was blown out last week, or do you honestly think that they have another level that they will need to go to actually beat this team? What do you think, Brad?
Well, here's the. Normally, I would say that's a really good point, but in this situation where they played without their head coach, they played without their best corner, they played without their starting Pro Bowl guard, their starting Pro Bowl tackle got hurt in the game, and you're getting all those guys back this week. That's kind of like a surge of energy and talent. Most definitely, the most important piece being Denzel Ward. You get your best cornerback back that can actually hang with Tyreek Hill, and if you need to play him out there, that's huge. You also get your starting nickel cornerback in Kevin Johnson. I mean, there's 5-6 starters that were gone last week that are now back and playing this week. So I think that kind of that influx of talent makes a big difference as far as from being like where you were last week. You had to get up to that level of play, but now you're fully healthy, or as fully healthy as you can be at this point. And the coach is there and everything's different. You got to practice. They didn't even get to practice last week. You get to practice 3 times this week. So I think it's a whole different ball game. I think that they feel comfortable. And to Ivan's point, and to Dean's point, a team that is playing with house money and free and easy and nothing to lose is a dangerous team. And I wouldn't. And the last thing I'll say about that is all the talk about the run game is great. But, I mean, Baker Mayfield's been playing out of his skull. I mean, we're talking 19 touchdowns to 1 interception since the Cincinnati game in whatever week that was, with like the top 5 QBR in the league since week 8. So, I mean, their pass game has been extremely effective. They've had a ton of chunk plays. And so I just think that I think they can score with Kansas City. Not that they want to get in a shootout, but if they can get a little bit of an edge at some point in the game and then keep away from Mahomes, I don't think you come out of the game saying, let's run the ball and keep away from him right away. I think you come out playing aggressive, and if you get some sort of lead, then you try to milk the clock and keep away with that run game. Because the run game wears people down. It's not as effective in the first half, but Kareem Hunt is killing people in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think that not only is there one, it's not like, okay, yeah, they have one path to beat the Chiefs, and I do think the Chiefs are the best team in football. So I'm giving you all the respect that I do think they are. But I think that the Browns are hot right now, and they're catching them at a bad time, just because of the nothing to lose, the points they've been scoring. They're kind of rolling a little bit here, and they're a year early, and so let's see what they can do. And Baker's playing the best football we've seen. So I think they come out aggressive. I don't even think they play keep away early. I think they try to play keep away if they get a lead or situationally. And Stefanski's been great situationally all year. So I expect a great game plan. Obviously, I expect, Andy Reid is terrific as coming out, 2 weeks. You mentioned it. You guys have all mentioned it with a week off. A bye week off. He's tremendous. I mean, he'll go against all of his tendencies, and that's going to cause a lot of problems for the Browns defense because he's going to bring out stuff that they haven't even seen on tape yet, which will be problematic. So I expect it to be a high-scoring game. I do, and I think that really think a turnover here or there will make a difference in the game. Maybe in the second half, a crucial turnover by the Browns or a crucial turnover by the Chiefs, which we know Mahomes doesn't give many of those up. But, if you can frustrate him and make him matriculate the ball down the field and try to prevent the big play as much as possible, I think that's what you have to do as a Brown. You're going to give up points to the Chiefs. But if you can hold them to a field goal here instead of a touchdown, and if you can make them, go on 10 play drives instead of 3 play drives, I think you have a chance to stay in the game. And I think there are a couple paths to victory for the Browns. Not just one path, but a couple ways they can win this game.
Yeah, and as you were saying as well, don't go mad on the rush, because don't create any running lanes for Mahomes down the middle. Go forward, because our defensive line is better. I think Schwartz is out for the Chiefs, I believe. That weakens their O-line. So, we have an opportunity to get at Mahomes, but because he likes to go back and drop back quite a bit. So, let's edge up the field and not give him any running lanes. And there's
exactly
definitely opportunities.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I talked to somebody last night on the show, and he was talking about that too. Is you can't, Myles Garrett can't do his normal, rush up the field, because all you do is create lanes for Mahomes, and you won't see them in a lot of man-to-man either, because you got guys turning their heads. He's going to take off and run too. So I really do think you're going to see a lot of that cover 3 press bail. The same stuff that San Francisco ran last year. I think that Woods will bring that over and use a lot of that tomorrow night.
It's very interesting what you say about Mahomes dropping back, because I think you'll agree, Scott. Sometimes Mahomes will drop back 15 yards and still sling it 50. The pass rush somehow has got to get to Mahomes and keep him, either put pressure on him or contain him. To be honest, it's a tough one for. It is a tough one for Cleveland.
I will just say.
Sorry, go on. No, go ahead.
I'll just say this. There's a couple of things. When we're down to the 2-minute warning, and if the Browns say are up by 4, when you eventually do end your drive, and you either have to punt the ball away or whatever, you get the field goal, so on. Whatever time on the clock that you have left, you cannot give Mahomes. I'm going to say a bare minimum here.
Don't even
7
give him
seconds.
a second.
No, about 6-7 seconds. You cannot give him even that to get the ball, because we know he can read the Canterbury Tale by Sorcerer and still throw an 80-yard bomb into the end zone. He is capable of that. So it's also clock management as well. Kevin Stefanski, this is going to be on him as well. He could put up a good game plan, but we talk about clock management now. So many coaches fail to do that. Mike Tomlin is a prime example. Doug Peterson is a prime example. Kevin Stefanski, he has to be really good at clock management in this game. If he doesn't, the Chiefs are going to burn him right at the end, and it's going to be heartbreak for the Browns.
We all know you don't give Mahomes any time whatsoever, strictly based on the fact that you know what he can do. You understand it. And it's not to take anything away from Patrick Mahomes. For me, it's just a situation that you know what you're doing when you're facing him. You figure it out and you do what you got to do, but you do not in any way, shape, or form give him a moment to breathe. Because if you do, it's over. We all know how he works.
Go on, Brad.
We all know that Pat Mahomes is one of the best at it, and he's very young in his career, but I can tell you right now, he's not playing. He's playing to win. And, it'd be good for Bieniemy, in these head coaching gigs to get out there and, win a Super Bowl and then come out and get himself a job. At that point, It's kind of like, man, you can't really say anything to me. I just won a Super Bowl, bro. Like, really? You don't want me for your head coaching job? That's fine. Let your offense continue to suffer.
Yeah. It's a shame that he hasn't gotten hired yet. I mean, the guy deserves a job. It's absolutely, I don't understand how he hasn't gotten hired yet, to be honest. Scott, I wanted to ask you a question. I only went back in preparation for my shows this week. I interviewed an ex-chief, Joe Valerio. I don't know if you know who he was. He played offensive line there back in the 90s, but he does his podcast on the Chiefs now, and I interviewed him yesterday. But I was asking him, because I went back, and in the last game they played with their starters was the Atlanta game, right? And really they should have lost that game if Terrell doesn't cough up that interception in the end zone, right? Like that was the ball game. And that was a low scoring, close game. The Chiefs have played a ton of one score possession games. I'm just curious what you think, because there's a guy in town who I listen to who says, basically describes it as like Chiefs are playing with one hand tied behind their back. Like it's like the NBA regular season for them. Like they don't care. They're just waiting for the playoffs. You know what I mean? They're kind of on cruise control. Do you feel that way? Is that why there's been so many close games, that they're just kind of, we're on cruise control till the playoffs? Or, you know, how do you explain all the close games, I guess?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to tell the mind frame, you know, and the mindset of somebody else, whether they're not taking the regular season seriously. But, Nick Wright on his show, he brought up something that was pretty interesting. And I've noticed this as a Chiefs fan, and I've been trying to tell people this. They have all these one-score games, but if you look at it, the Chiefs are up by 10 or 12 or 13 or 14 points in the fourth quarter. And these other teams, you were talking about the Steelers and garbage time points. These other teams score a touchdown with 2 or 3 or 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter to make it a one-score game, and then they never get the ball back with an actual opportunity to take the lead. So I feel like that's a little bit of fool's gold that people are trying to buy into, a little bit of
misleading.
Yeah. They if over the course of the season they had one of the top, if not the top average margin of victory in the NFL. Other than the Falcons game, you have to go back to the Panthers game where a team actually had a ball at the end of the game in the last possession with a chance to take the lead in the fourth quarter. So I think that has been a little bit of a weird kind of an anomalous. You go to the Dolphins game, the Chiefs went on a 30-0 run and were up, and then the Dolphins scored a couple of, oh, by the way, touchdowns there at the end and made it a close game, look closer than it really was. That's happened. And if you're a Chiefs fan, you know this all too well. There's been so many games that looked closer than they were. When you watch the game, you think, how the heck did they not win that by more? And it's late scores by the opposition that make it look a lot closer than the actual contest was.
Yeah, I can see how that can get misleading for sure.
But and I want to give all the respect in the world to the Browns. All right, first of all, Browns fans are some of the best fans out there. Okay, your team doesn't make the playoffs since 2002, and you're still filling up the stadium. You still got people, you see them out and about wearing Browns gear, that they rep their city and their team. So I give them all the credit in the world. Mayfield is showing out and really kind of living up to the expectations I think people thought he would have. Now that he's got some more stability with the offense and the coaching, he's been in the league and he had a different head coach and a different coordinator and a different system every year. He looks like he's got some stability there. Kareem Hunt, everybody knows I'm a big Kareem Hunt fan. The dude is an absolute beast. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm disrespecting the Browns. I just think the Chiefs right now are just too much for them. And I think where the Chiefs are good kind of exploits where the Browns are bad. I think that's really going to be the difference.
Well, let me ask you a question. You said you're a big Kareem Hunt fan. Would you have opted to keep him?
I'm sorry?
At the time of everything happening, would you have opted to keep him? Would you have released him? Because of the publicity, because that's telling you right now, that's strictly what it is. That was all publicity.
I don't think it was publicity. I think the Chiefs have shown they give guys chance. Okay, they brought Tyreek Hill. Everybody knows about his college situation. The Kareem Hunt thing, from what I've been able to gather and what you hear on the media and snippets from people who supposedly have the inside scoop, was they went to Kareem. He had some other incidents too with fights and getting in trouble late at night at some of the bars and the clubs here in Kansas City that didn't get the national publicity that it got here. Then you have the incident where he kicked the young lady, and he went to Clark Hunt, and Clark Hunt asked him what happened. That's the owner of the team. And he said, I didn't do it. This is made up. This is baloney. And then the video comes out. I think he got cut for lying directly to the owner's face. And you can't have that. You can't have a culture where you accept people. I mean, look at your job. If you went to your boss and he asked you, hey, did this happen? And you go to your boss, you say, no, it didn't happen. I swear it didn't happen. This is all made. And then a video comes out where you did it, you're going to be gone too. So I think that really had more to do with it than the publicity angle of it.
You've touched on something there. Most businesses would turn around and say, I would rather have an employee that is not very good at his job than a person than an employee who lies for his back teeth.
right? And I think if Kareem would have came straight with Clark and said, yeah, it happened. I was partying, the situation got out of control. Maybe I had too much to drink. I'm sorry. I'm going to work to get better. I think, but when you just straight lie to the owner's face, it's almost impossible to keep you at that point.
I wasn't privy to that information, so I can.
And again, I wasn't in the room. That's just from what people in the media and people that are connected and the beat reporters locally here. That's the narrative. That's the story that they have said is why he was released. So take that.
You know what's so interesting about that is, okay, so John Dorsey built Kansas City pretty much, right? A lot of the talent that Kansas City had. John Dorsey came to Cleveland. The only reason that Kareem Hunt got a chance in Cleveland was because of John Dorsey, and he liked him, and he gave him a second chance there. Well, Kareem's from Cleveland, so since then he's been, outreach in the community and trying to rebuild his rep, and everything's gone really well. Well, John Dorsey leaves, and in comes Stefanski and Barry, and Kareem has kind of, replenished or re-imaged his persona publicly. So now it's okay, right? Like for him to be on the team and everything, they already gave him another deal, but. At the time, I don't think Cleveland would have touched him with a 10-foot pole unless John Dorsey was there, and he's not there now. So it's kind of interesting. And another, this game has a lot of storylines. You go to the Mahomes Mayfield college game, the huge shootout with whatever 700 plus yards for Mahomes and 600. If you remember what I'm talking about, Texas Tech, Oklahoma.
Texas Tech,
yeah, and then, you have, of course, Kareem Hunt coming back. You've got guys like Mitchell Schwartz on the Chiefs. I don't think he's playing this week, but and then you've got Terrence Mitchell on the Browns, and then the John Dorsey factor. John Dorsey built a lot of the talent on both of these teams, and he doesn't have a job at either place now. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, no. Hey, I'm happy for Kareem Hunt, man. If there was video of some of the things I did in my 20s out there, right? I mean,
no doubt.
People change, man, and I'm all for it. So, hey, I'm not a Kareem Hunt hater. I'm happy to see that it looks like he's got his life going in the right direction, and he's a tremendous talent, and the league is better with him playing, and it's better for him. And so, yeah, I'm all for Kareem Hunt. And you say something about John Dorsey. I heard on the radio this week, as a general manager, his Pro Bowl rate for his draft picks was 21%. That's ridiculous. Insane. That's almost 1 out of 4 draft picks that he's made as a Pro Bowl player. That's crazy.
It is crazy. It's crazy that he doesn't have a job at either of the places that he built these teams still,
I think he's difficult to get along with, and he's not very good with the salary cap and the numbers and that aspect of running a team. So maybe in a scouting department, or if he can get back into a personnel role with a team, maybe not the general manager. I definitely think you're going to see a team get him in some capacity.
I believe he has a gig lined up with the Eagles, is what I heard last. Possibly, yeah. There was some chatter about that. But, I mean, he strictly lost his job with the Browns because of Freddie Kitchens' hire. I mean, he hired Freddie Kitchens, and Freddie Kitchens, was not ready to be a head coach. He crapped the bed, and he lost his job strictly because of that. So
that was an awful hire, Kitchens. And I'm not a Browns fan, and he did, as you said, he shit the bed. Right, got one more subject, and then we're going to pick all the games that are going on this weekend, and this is obviously close to my heart, being a 49ers fan. Robert Saleh has left to become the head coach of the Jets.
My condolences.
We might hold on to him, but you can't blame the guy, unfortunately, for going. Dion, bring you in as a Niner fan. What's your overall reaction to that news?
There's two things here. I'm happy that he got the job. Very, very happy that he got the job. The other thing is I'm happy for the Lebanese people. That is his nationality. So anybody from Lebanon, y'all better be screaming to the hilltops that y'all are happy, because that's your guy. For me, the NFL, the thing that it lacks is the diversity. You don't have enough of everybody in there. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong. Hey, look, at the end of the day, if you got the bread, you got the money, money make the world go round. I'm sure we all have heard the song. And for me, him going to the Jets is a good thing because he can build his defense very well. The thing is, will he find an offensive coordinator that can get the best out of Sam Darnold? And or are they even sold on Sam Darnold to a point where they don't draft a quarterback with that pick? Because at the end of the day, I've looked at every place that quarterbacks have come from, and I'm going to tell you right now, the last great quarterback that was coming out of USC was Carson Palmer. Other than that, you ain't really seen much. Mark Sanchez went to the AFC Championship 2 years in a row, but why did he do that? Because of that defense. It definitely wasn't because of Mark Sanchez. So I can tell you right now, for me, oh yeah, I have to agree with Callie on that. Of course, you like the draft picks. But for me, I think honestly, it was a good move for him. I'm very happy that he got the job. It sucks that he's leaving. I do hope that we promote D'Amico Ryans in his place because Chris Kasarik has come out and said he is not looking to be a defensive coordinator. He loves coaching the D-line. And I pray to sweet baby Jesus we don't draft another damn defensive lineman in the first round of the draft. We got better things we can get than another lineman. I'm sorry. If you want to do that, just go re-sign Kerry Hyder. Okay? At the end of the day, for us, this is a win. This is a win for, the diversity in the NFL. I don't use the word minority. I don't like it because it makes you feel like you're less than. And if everybody's supposed to, if all men are supposed to be created equal, then there is no minority. So to me, for the Lebanese people, for the diversity of the NFL, I am extremely happy. I'm very happy for Robert Saleh. He earned it. And he did it he was just putting pieces together, man. You got to think about it. Yes, Kerry Hyder looked good last year in Dallas, but who knew he was going to have 8.5 sacks? Nobody. Yeah, what's going on?
Tony.
That's Tony. Yeah, what's up, Tony? And it's really a beautiful situation. I'm hoping I saw another black GM just got hired. The guy from the Rams, he went in. I forgot what job he got, but he just got hired. So this is the beautiful thing. And for me, it's not about it being a situation where people are saying that, everybody should go. It's just opening the doors for everyone to come in. I guarantee you, there are people from over in the UK. Look at you guys. You guys are in the UK, where from all I knew for most of my years, soccer was king, if I'm not mistaken. It was soccer and maybe boxing. And y'all are on here. And you guys are here. So why wouldn't we have an owner from the UK? You know what I mean? There's a guy, I'm pretty sure there's a guy out there with billions of dollars that says, you know what, I'd like to own myself a UK team and have these dudes be able to travel and do these things. It's just opening up the doors, man, and letting everybody in and letting everybody eat. Because at the end of the day, you got to think about it. If you've ever watched any of these mob movies or these drug cartel movies, when you watch one dude just continually eating and he has all of everything and the people around him are starving, it starts to implode.
The only difference I will have though with our owners here over in the UK, most of them now will be taken over by billionaires and consortiums of some sort. The only English businessman that I can think of who plays football and has big money is Mike Ashley for Newcastle United, and he is probably the biggest tool as an owner. He is the biggest tool.
I would say right now, man, this is part of the reason I love being on here, just because of the lingo, man. The language is outrageous. I love it, man. Hey, yo, and Hellhound and Brad, it's very nice to meet you guys. Hellhound, I'm happy that you even are wearing your Cleveland gear, brother. It is really hard to be a Browns fan. You guys have been in the basement of the NFL for so long, man. And it looked like they weren't going to give Baker a shot. and now he's out there doing what he can. Y'all gonna go up against Mr. Rogers. It's gonna be a real tall order. It is, but Salah at the end of the day, man, very, very happy that he got the job. I hope that he does tremendous things, and I pray to God that he drafts another quarterback because Sam Darnold ain't it, and I don't want him nowhere near my team. All that talk about Sam Darnold does, go away. No, you can't win.
One question before we move on, and this is to our American friends. If I was talking like I always do, because this is my show and I do it. If I said to Carl or Ivan, you're talking a load of bollocks, would you understand what I meant by you're talking bollocks? Brad, would you understand that?
I mean, I don't know what bollocks means, but I can use my context clues to probably figure out that it means like nonsense or a bunch of bullshit, right? So
yeah,
there you go. There you go. Deal. Would you have known that?
Yeah, you guys explained it to me. You guys helped me with the language. I'm one of those people. If I go somewhere, I want to learn how they communicate. I don't care where I'm at. I'm from Los Angeles, California, so we talk a different way. I went down to Atlanta. They had a whole different language down there. Okay, you go down to the South, they got different ways, they got different words. You know, certain things just aren't pronounced. You know, instead of like that, like cat, like, you know, there's just different ways that they talk. You just gotta adjust. So if I would have heard it, I would have did the same thing Brad did. Use the context clues and just figure it out.
Scott, would you have known if I'd have said to you, Travis Kelce is bollocks? Would you have known what I meant?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Guy Ritchie movies. Rockstar, Two Smoking Barrels, and Snatch.
There you go.
So yeah,
you've watched it.
That and the Austin Powers movies is probably where I've gotten 90% of my education on the lingo.
You've just degraded yourself.
When you think that, you know, behave and all that.
Oh, I love it.
That's fucked up.
Here in America, we would call it
malarkey, indeed, or shenanigans even. Right, we're going to go around the horn. We're going to pick the games, and then we are getting them out of here. First game, Rams-Packers. Ivan, choose.
I'm going Packers for that one. You know, I really like, as I said last week, I really like the Rams D. You know, I think they're a superb unit. But I cannot see any scenario really where over 4 quarters that D manages to stop the Packers offense. So I'm going Packers for that one.
And it could be quite embarrassing for the Lambs and Goff, but that's another story. Brad.
Well, again, you know, he's injured.
All right, quick question. Are you guys do straight up, or are we counting spreads here, points, just straight up?
Win or lose, my man. Win or lose.
Win or lose. I'm taking the Packers. I don't think I don't think the Rams have enough offense to do it. I mean, you can, if you're Green Bay, you just load up to stop Cam Akers and dare him to throw the ball, and I think you'll be all right.
Deal. Now, I know, a Niners fan, you aren't going to pick the Rams anyway, but I've got a lot.
Hell no. Let me tell you this. This is Aaron Rodgers' shot at getting himself another Super Bowl and cementing his legacy. So, for me, go Pack, go.
Scott.
Yeah, I'm picking Packers 24-14.
I'm going Packers because the Rams, forget about it. Carl?
Yep, 24-16 Packers. Aaron Rodgers, he's playing like a bad man this season.
It's got to be MVP, I think. Got to be MVP. I think it's going to be a close run thing between him and Mahomes. Mahomes goes to the Super Bowl and wins it again. I think he's going to just edge out.
I love how the fact you've just excluded Josh Allen.
Josh Allen is not going to win MVP because they aren't going to get to the Super Bowl.
If Green Bay and
Kansas City, look, the Bills, man.
If Kansas City and Green Bay fall out divisional round, which is it's very unlikely, but if they do, Who else you going to put up for MVP? Brady? Breeze?
Russell Wilson. Oh no, sorry.
Oh, piss off. Yeah, week six. Week six, maybe, yeah, but not.
Seriously, let Russ cook like he did against the Rams, because that was fucking amazing.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Mr. Rogers, your biggest problem is Buffalo. If they win, you don't want the problems. You don't want the problems. I'm telling you right now, Josh Allen is a whole different animal, and that defense ain't ready for that. You would rather face an in the pocket quarterback than have to deal with Josh Allen. There's a whole lot of man. That's a very, very large individual, just by height and weight standards. And he's mobile. The only issue is he's got to learn how to protect the ball when he runs, because he doesn't, he doesn't necessarily put the ball in too much. He fumbles a lot when he gets to running. But yeah, if Buffalo comes your way, that's going to be the game where you're going to have to start worrying. I'll tell you that.
Do I take it then that if I went to you, Dion, Ravens, Bills, you're picking Josh Allen and the Bills?
You know what? I do want the Bills to win. And I'll give you just a little tidbit of why. I like Josh Allen. And I like Stephon Diggs. And the thing for me is, I really don't want the Bills to go to the Super Bowl, because I don't want them to lose. They did that 4 years in a row with Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and Bruce Miller and Andre Rison?
Yeah.
4 years in a row. And you lose every single time. That's hard, man. So it's like if they get to that Super Bowl, they better get. I don't care who they better call, a ghost of Christmas past, whoever they need. They need anybody. They cannot lose another Super Bowl like that. I don't think that city can take it. Them people gonna die of heartache rather than coronavirus, man.
That's true. That's true. Brad, Ravens, Bills.
I'm taking the Bills.
Ivan?
Well, I mean, I want the Bills to win. That's for sure. I can't stand the Ravens, but I do actually think the Ravens are going to win this one. The Bills, I'm not too sure they can stop that Ravens running game. I mean, if they can stop the Ravens running game, the Bills will win, because the Ravens don't have the deep ball threat. So, but I don't see them stopping that Ravens running game. So I'm going Ravens on this one.
Could be a lone wolf. Scott?
Can I just say, if I am, I'm not howling for no Ravens team. No way.
Yeah, you are. Scott?
No, I'm not.
You're safe, Hound. I got the Ravens in this one. I just the Bills' run defense just is not good enough for that Ravens running attack. I mean, the Chiefs, when they played the Bills, put up almost 300 yards rushing on them, and we're not even a rushing team. I think the Ravens pull this one out. I'm going 27-24 Ravens.
Nice. Carl?
Yep, I'm taking the Bills to win this one. Even though Lamar Jackson did rush for 136 yards and threw for 179, they still only managed to put up 20 points on Tennessee. I think Josh Allen has put up 30 plus, and I don't know, in his last 4 or 5 games or so on. So I'm taking the Bills to win this game 25-20.
Interesting. To me, this is a coin flip. I want to see the Bills go further, because I quite like the way and the way they put it up against the Niners was, I mean, Josh Allen was like Baker Mayfield last week. He just wasn't touched. But I've still got that Lamar factor and their running game. So I will pick the Ravens to win. It's going to be a 3-point game, possibly no more than 7. But I am going to go the Ravens. Right, the OAP Bowl. Deal.
OAP?
Breeze and Brady.
old age pensioners, dear boy. Shit, I forgot. Sorry, that's another one you've just learned. OAP, old
OAP.
age.
All right.
Retirement bowl, let's put it that way.
So for me, as you guys over in the UK say, I'm gonna have to go with me mum, and I'm gonna have to roll with the Saints. That's my mother's team is the Saints, so just by default, I gotta go with them. I think this is gonna be a hell of a game, though. It's gonna be a hell of a game. I think both of those old farts are gonna show up, as geriatric as they are, and give it all they damn got. You're going to see both of them just go out, rest on their laurels. But if Breeze does lose, this is his last game. He's done. He'll go home. He'll relax. He'll spend time with his family. I don't believe that he comes back next year. He's done.
It's definitely on Breeze to show up and show out. I agree.
Yes. Yes, sir.
I think the Saints are going to win. But I don't know, with Brady, with that deep ball and the weapons he's got, are the Saints defense going to be able to curtail him and everything? Yes, they got a good rush, etc. I'll come back to my pick. Scott, who you got?
Yeah, I think the Saints have proven to be too much for the Buccaneers twice already this year. I think it's 31-24 Saints.
Ivan?
Saints to me as well. Yeah, I agree with what Scott said there. I think they've proven to be the better team. I mean, okay, the first two games were a while ago now, but at the same time, the Saints are stronger in most positions, so you've got to go for them.
Brad, is lightning going to strike for the third time?
Yeah, it does. So it's tough for a team to beat a team 3 times in the same year, but I just think the Saints are better, and I think they're better coached. They have a better defense. So I'm taking the Saints 31-21 in this one.
Nice. Carl?
High scoring game, really entertaining. Saints win 42-40.
Oh.
That'll be a good game to watch, and that will be Sunday night over here at 20 to midnight. So it might be worth staying up for that one. I kind of want Breeze to carry on because I'm not really a Brady fan. So fuck it. I'm going to go the Saints because I don't like Brady. And he isn't the GOAT. Joe Montana is the GOAT. For about 55th time on this show. Right. Now, we all know how 3 people are going to vote on this game, so I'll leave those till last. Carl. Browns, Chiefs. Choose.
This, I don't. If Nick and Ivan will understand me why I said it. When I talked about my prediction show earlier on in the week, I talked about how the Browns, they could go on a similar sort of run of what we saw our Premier League soccer team, Leicester City, done in 2016. They should be nowhere near the top. They should be nowhere challenging for the title, yet they've done it against all odds. The Browns have got, if they go and do the impossible against the Chiefs, they could be on course for probably one of the greatest underdog stories in the history of the NFL. But this Chiefs team...
I knew there was a but.
We saw it coming.
This Chiefs team has just got a little too much on offense. Chiefs win 39-36.
Dion?
I can't pick the Chiefs.
Come
They
on,
beat us in the Super Bowl. I can't. I'm not going to do it. Hellhounds, let's go dog pound.
Let's go.
Period. Dog pound. I don't want the Chiefs winning the damn thing. The only thing we don't want the Chiefs to do is go home. Period. I am going to be a hater today. I don't want the Chiefs to win nothing. 0. Zip, zilch. Not a 9 yet. However you can say no in any language.
Nil.
No Chiefs. Go Dog Pound.
Well,
Baker Mayfield
like,
is going to actually beat Patrick Mahomes.
it looks like I'm going to have the casting vote, so I'm staying till the end and keep you guessing. Brad, are you going for your team or what? You want to?
Yeah, man.
You can beat them.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta pick with my heart here, man. It's just the way it is at this point. So, no matter what my head tells me or all the statistics say or how good I think the Chiefs are, I just think there's something going on with this Browns team right now. I think it was something special going on. Started last week, and so I'm gonna go with them again, and I'm gonna go 41-37 Browns.
Awesome. We have a special
what's going on, brother?
Just popped up in the building. John, how are you?
I'm at the kids' basketball facility, man, and I'm out in the middle of fucking nowhere. It feels like I don't know how the hell we got here. God damn it! What's good, fam? How is everybody?
Yeah, we're all good, John. We're all good. Gonna get your picks very quickly. One word answers. Rams.
Okay,
Rams. Packers.
Packers.
Rams.
Sure.
Packers. Ravens. Bills.
Bills.
OAP Bowl, and if you're not initiated in it, it's a British thing. Old Age Pensioners Bowl. Buccaneers. Saints.
Oh. I think Tom Brady knocks him off tonight.
Lone Wolf! That's a Lone Wolf!
You're a Lone Wolf. There you go. Good man. And we're now talking Browns Chiefs.
What's that?
Browns Chiefs, John. Browns and Chiefs.
Oh man. I'm gonna get fucking hit. I'm gonna get hit for this pick.
Don't you do it, John? Don't you do it? Happy wife, happy life. Now, damn it. Happy wife, happy life. Remember that damn thing.
Come on, John. Come on over.
Don't do it.
Keep your eyes on the road. Listen, I think for the sake of my town and my city, I'm gonna take the Browns.
There we go. Yeah,
Scott, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
John did that for the sake of his safety. His wife is gonna.
Yeah, exactly.
You done it for the sake of your marriage. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, very diplomatic, John. We love it. Very quickly, John, how are you and the family? Obviously, I'm not going to go over what you told us last week on the show. Still praying for you and your family. How are things?
Things they're looking up. Here, park right here, please, will you? Making me nervous. Listen, things are looking up, Nick. I appreciate it, brother. Every day, it gets a little bit easier, man. It's always a shame when there's a child involved, man. It's an unimaginable tragedy, but we're doing better, brother. We're doing better. Thank you.
Good.
Have the funerals, etc., been held yet, or is that still ongoing?
It was a very small. It was family and very close friends. It was nice, man. There was a vigil here in town for the two of them. It raised like almost like a little over $200,000, and like 35 to 4,000 people showed up.
Wow,
that's
it was
awesome.
Insane. It was insane.
Don't talk about donations because I'm already in the shit for doing things.
Yeah, let's just cut that out.
Yeah. Time out.
Charity Gate.
Time out.
Yeah, Charity Gate.
Charity Gate.
Oh, do you know the funny thing is?
What the hell? That was so fucked up.
The funny thing is, okay, one certain person, Dan, who probably won't watch, he started a Just Giving page because last Saturday night my central heating broke down and the boiler broke, okay? And he started a Just Giving page for me and I only got one fucking donation for a $5. Are you kidding me? I was freezing my arse off. Worse than it was out here. But only one person gave a $5. But it never will beat Twittergate or Sexgate take, Cole. But that's another story. Scott.
I'm not going to reiterate what I just said. All right.
Yeah, exactly. I hope you bleep that out. Scott, where are you going?
Ivan, what's good, brother?
Hey, good, John. How's it going?
It's going, my man. It's going. Good luck, brother. Good luck. It's a big game.
Thank you.
Scott, what do you got? San Francisco jersey on, bro. What is that?
Second best tight end in the league. Look, Scott, score prediction for you boys.
I keep telling you, Nick, you can't be the second best in the league when you're the best of all time, Nick.
Here we go.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Someone mute him, kick him off.
Drop him out of the stream, man.
God,
I have
floor is yours.
Yeah, I think the Browns journey ends this week, ends tomorrow. I'm taking the Chiefs 41-24.
Wow.
You know, the Chiefs haven't put up many 40-point games, Scott, right? You know, the Browns put up like what, 4 or 5? What is that, Ivan? 4 or 5 40-point games?
Well, they put, as I was saying earlier, they put 41 on the Titans, 48 on the Steelers, 42, I think, on the Ravens. You know, they're all better defenses than the Chiefs.
The Titans' defense is not better than the Chiefs' defense.
Oh, come on.
No. I'll agree with Scott on that one. The Titans is awful.
Yeah, I agree.
It's awful.
I agree on that.
And the Browns scored 40 whatever against the Steelers because they had 5 turnovers. Patrick Mahomes is not throwing 4 interceptions tomorrow.
How many interceptions could have been had though? I think there was someone made a clip live at 8 or 9 of the defensive backs going against the Chiefs drop balls.
Yeah, but that happens to every quarterback. That's not something special or unique to him. I mean, that's just part of the game.
It is when it's the most.
Well, I don't know that it's the most. The stuff I saw 16. I've seen 8. I've seen 5 dropped interceptions. It just depends on who's counting and what you count as a drop or not.
Yeah, you're right. Because I saw 16 somewhere.
Right.
Too.
I don't know what people. I mean.
But you're right. That happens to everybody. I mean.
So anyway, he's not going to throw 4 interceptions tomorrow. That's not happening.
I am really torn on this game. I fucking hate Mahomes, what he did to us in the Super Bowl. I really want this journey to continue for the Cleveland Browns because I think they have been the feel-good team of this year after their, I don't know how many years of being the factory of sadness. Everyone's seen that YouTube video and I think it's hilarious. I really don't. And I said to Scott the other day, I've never, ever picked against Kansas City. Never have I picked against them. But do you know what? Fuck it. I am going to pick the Cleveland Browns to upset the world tomorrow. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know where it's going to happen. And I just want the feel-good thing for the Browns to carry on. Even if it's only for one more week, if they get waxed next week, they get waxed. But
I'll tell you this. One thing I can say is, at a bare minimum, I know even if the Chiefs lose, Mr. Rogers will be here next week.
Of course he will.
Pete, I know you watching Get on the damn show. I know you've been crying listening to Little Minx, and I know you've been in your feelings, and I know you've been sitting there just wallowing in self-pity, just taking shots to your head. Oh, God, we can't do it. I know. Get on the show and face the music because we're not going to let this go. When you come back, Pete, you're going to get it. You have to.
if you didn't see last week, just check out the wild card preview with him looking like, well, he said he was Mike Tomlin. He was more like a Camp George Michael, but that's another story.
Well, hey,
Closing thoughts.
Saying that, Nick, I'll tell you this. You know what? Pete never wants to dance again if the Steelers get to the playoffs.
Yeah, they're not. If they've got Big Ben next year, Dink and Dunk ain't going to work because people will work out that shit from this season.
They've got $41 million, whether they like it or not.
I did actually have a really good take for the Pittsburgh Steelers today, but unfortunately I high snapped it. Ha!
Did it go right over your head, unfortunately? And then Big Ben,
there you go. It went on the head.
Big Ben was like the Titanic trying to turn around and get that arse.
It's medium Ben, Nick. Medium Ben now.
I know that I hated on the Steelers all year and I picked against them because of Pete. But seriously, watching that game last week was fucking hilarious. Forget who. It could be a faceless team, right? It could be a faceless team. It didn't matter. It was just the fact how they imploded and were pathetic. And they fired a few coordinators and stuff. Doesn't make any difference to me. I don't give a shit who goes in there as OC. You know, at the end of the day, they've got no running game unless they draft the best running back and get some more offensive line. The Steelers have done. And people have said the Niners are done. We're coming back, but the Steelers are over that hump and they're going down because they're not going to win with that kind of offense. Right, we're going to get up out of here. Carl, final thoughts for the games or anything else you want to say? Cam Newton still sucks. And why haven't you got your Patriots gear on? Because you need to take some shit for that putrid team this year. Yes, we are putrid. I don't try and sugarcoat the Steelers. I'm like, well, Pete does. I know our team was shit going into this season. So it was just one of those things. But no, good luck to all of the teams in the divisional round. Let's see if the Browns can continue this fairy tale run. It's going to be hard. And yeah, and also as well, if people wondering why I'm wearing a different hat, that is the Boston Bruins. They play in 1 hour's time. So I am a hockey fan. So yeah, I got something else to look forward to as well. Do they suck as well as the Patriots? That's what I want to know. Well, we've not won the Stanley Cup since 2011. We have made one. I love hockey. I love hockey. It's a physical game. Oh yeah, you gotta be a man to play hockey. Scott. Oh, by the way, Jeff, if you're still watching, you're probably not, but Brighton, my team in the EPL, beat Dirty Leeds. Miracles do happen. Oh, so,
wow. Just being Burnley.
Scott, final thoughts.
Yeah, Pete needs to get back on here. I know Steelers, it turned out to be 11-0 no for your team, but you need to get back on here.
Oh
no! To everybody else, John and Dion, it sucks what happens to your team this year, man. Injuries and the COVID was just too much to overcome, but you'll bounce back. You guys are always back. It never, you're never gone for more than a year or two. You got a good organization. To the two Browns guys there, I hope for a good game. I hope it's everybody stays healthy, and we'll just see who comes out on top. Carl, Nick, you guys take it easy over there in the UK. I know you guys are on lockdowns and doing all that, whatever that is over there. So I just want everybody to stay healthy and happy and continue the new year with well wishes moving forward. And I look forward to some. This is when the real good football starts this weekend. So
yes, it does. Good luck,
definitely.
Browns fan.
Win, lose or draw, Scott. you'll always be on this platform with us because you're one of us. Okay.
Yeah, Scott, for sure, brother.
Let's get to the Cleveland angle. Ivan, final thoughts.
Final thoughts of this, really, which is, in my opinion, Kansas City. It's not just my opinion. I think lots of people probably think this. Kansas City are the best team in the NFL. So, you know,
Niner fan.
I'm expecting them to
Got a
get
Niner fan. There you go, bro. Attaboy, man. Tough season.
Whatever happens to the Browns this weekend, I'm really looking forward to this game. The Browns have had a phenomenal season. You know, I'm really, really proud of what we've achieved this year, considering the start we've had, and you can see the growth that we've made over the season as coaching has come in and players have, you know, learning the system and the playbook and getting unified as a team. The Browns are going to be a big force next year. So I'm just looking forward to the game. I think if you match up against the Chiefs, you know, that's the team you want to try and match up against at the moment. They're the best. So let's play the best, see how we match up. And there are scenarios where we can win. I'm not expecting it, but there are scenarios where we can win. And so, yeah, looking forward to it. And the exception of the Ravens, whoever makes it through this weekend, you know, good luck in the future for up until the Super Bowl. So.
Awesome. Brad, before you do your final thoughts, let everybody know where they can follow you, catch your shows, etc.
Yeah, sure. I write at USA Today Sports Media Group's TheBrownsWire.com, and I have a podcast called All Eyes on Cleveland. You can also watch the simulcast on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Periscope as well. And you can go to alliesOnCleveland.com is the website. Guys, thanks for having me on. This was awesome. I was so glad to get the invite, and truly enjoyed it. Honored to be here. And appreciate the time. And that's the good thing about the Browns being good. I got all kinds of invites this week to go on shows, so this was great. Business is good when the Browns win, right, Ivan? So that's cool. So thank you so much, Nick, Carl, Scott. Good luck, and 49ers guys. I got actually close family friends with Kyle Juszczyk. My dad coached him in high school, so I know him really well. I know his family really well, so that's pretty cool. He's an Ohio kid. I'm from Akron, Ohio, but he went to Cloverleaf, Ohio, and that's where my dad coached football for a long time. So,
all right, my man. I'm only about a half hour from you, buddy.
Oh, really? Very cool.
Tell
so thank you, guys.
Sign on a discount, Brad, please. Dion.
For me, final thoughts. Don't want the Rams to win anything. I'd rather see Rodgers go ahead and get a win so he can stop crying because we are always whooping his ass outside of this year because we were injured. For the Ravens and the Bills game, come on, Josh Allen. Do what you need to do. Make it happen. For the Browns and the Chiefs game, I just want to see Mr. Rodgers sad and not being able to wear his Chiefs stuff. That's all. Nothing personal. I just don't want the Chiefs to win. That's all. For the Buccaneers Saints game, like I said, I'm going with me, Mom. I'm going to stick with that. The Saints will go ahead and pull it off. And other than that, everybody please stay blessed, stay safe. And for my fellow guys that are here in the U.S., stay away from that damn COVID, man. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely crazy, but at the end of the day, exactly, there we go. And if you're out there, that's what you got to have, man. You got to have your mask. You got to stay safe. You know what I'm saying? And I always tell people, wear it when you need to. When you don't have to. Don't be driving in the car with your mask on looking ridiculous now. Don't do that. But other than that, man, y'all, hey, stay blessed. Y'all have yourselves a wonderful day. Nice to meet you, Brad. Nice to meet you, Ivan. And Ivan, whoop Mr. Rogers' ass. I want y'all to put up a 50 burger on them. Beat them like they stole something, like the red-headed stepchildren that they are. Their colors are red, so go on give them a red ass whooping.
There you go.
John, how are you gonna follow that?
Say that again, Nick.
I said, how are you going to follow Dion's? John, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Scott, good luck to you, man. My area needs this. They need this victory. It means everything to them. It will change people's lives here for the better. Yeah. Tampa, I hope that they knock off Drew Brees just for the sake of everything holy and faithful. I hope the Rams get beat because I can't stand them. They've done what I needed them to do thus far. Now I have no use for them, so I hope Green Bay knocks them off. Ivan, Brad, it's good to see you guys. Good to see some friendly faces that are supporting a team that I have absolutely no interest in, but I want everything for. Nick, you're gonna get me killed, so I'm gonna get off here, man. Go enjoy the next game. I will see you all. Dion, my brother, as always, it's a pleasure, my friend. Carl,
Always.
Scott, Ivan, Nick, Brad, good to be here with you guys. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'll see you guys soon. Take care,
John.
John,
peace from Ohio.
Take
Later.
it, John.
take it easy.
All right, take care.
Take it
Thank
easy,
you.
John.
Take it easy,
Got
John.
it,
My
fellas.
final thoughts.
Have a good one. Go
My
back.
final thoughts.
Dion, later, homie.
All right, brother.
Stop milking it, John. Get off. There you go. You've got my final thoughts. It's going to be some great games. As I said earlier, sorry, Scott, I want the Cleveland Browns to continue that odyssey. It may end next week. It may even end with the game against your guys. But I think we could all agree there are these 4 games are going to be really, really good. Unlike the wild card games where you had the Saints blowing out Chicago with all that shit going on in the end zone in Nickelodeon. That's all gone, thank God.
I think on that. I think I did see the highlights of it. I can understand why the NFL put that game on Nickelodeon for a younger audience. If they're trying to get younger viewers in to try and grasp the NFL, that is kind of one way to do it. Make it fun, make it creative, and then when they grow older, then they actually watch the proper.
The other way is they wanted to see the Chicago Bears be a fucking joke with all that shit going on in the background.
Well, they were
because they were, and it was an awful game. And to be honest, I think they should have carried on and maybe put some SpongeBob over the top. Or I don't even know. That's So Raven or whatever shit they've got going on. They should have had them invading the pitch or whatever.
The funniest bits I liked out of that was when there was a penalty and when there was a yellow flag, and up popped little Sheldon to actually explain what it was all about.
I mean, that's ridiculous. One more thing, actually, before we go, and I've got one more thing that really annoys me when I watch NFL Network, and I want your views on this. Mike Robinson, the real Mike Rob, he needs a kick in the nuts, right? He always looks off his face. He's like high as a kite and talks a load of shit. And he was a Seahawk. Yes, I know he was a Niner, but I watched him on what was it I watched this morning when I woke up early?
With a Good Morning, is it Game Day?
No, Total Access.
Oh,
right?
Total Access, yeah.
And he's got that stupid look on his face, and he just looks like he's fucking off his head. Is it just me, or just the real Mike Rob needs to just fuck off? Carl.
What are you saying? Does he look high or something? Or
he looks off his face.
Well, it can't be as bad as Adam Gase's press conference in his first day as a Jets.
Seriously.
No.
Last night's Total Access, and he pulls these stupid faces, and it kind of like I have this thing, right, where faces you want to punch. The Gallagher brothers in Oasis have got faces I want to punch. Mike, the real Mike Robb is added to that list. He just, yes, he knows his stuff, but the faces he pulls, and he's on with the guy that was from the Packers. I can't think of his name, but it's just, it does my head in. Scott, are you with me on the real Mike Robb? Is he annoying as hell, or are you happy to see him on?
I gotta be honest, I don't even know who the hell you're talking about, Nick.
That's easy. Ivan, you must watch Game Pass. You must watch that idiot. What do you think?
Well, I have Game Pass, but again, I don't know who he is actually. My biggest gripe is some of the referees that you get on the pitch that just make an absolute meal of things. And then all those commentators that were commentating on the Browns Steelers game last week, they just wound me up. They were shocking.
Brad.
Yeah. I know who he is. I can confirm he's a clown. Yeah, you're right. There's no question. He's a clown. I don't like a lot of those guys. So some of those guys just get the job because they played, and sometimes they, obviously they know what they're talking about, but the delivery and some of that is just hard to watch sometimes, for sure.
I'm glad, right, out of everyone, you know who I'm talking about. Dion, do you know who I'm talking about?
Of course I know who Mike Robb is. I mean, it is what it is, bro. Like, he's on TV. Like, I truthfully don't really care too much about what he has to say. He spent most of his time riding the Seahawks dick. So,
yeah.
To me, I'm like, come on, man. Like, you can be a homer, but you got to learn to be objective as a sports commentator. But he, to me,
it didn't work out for him last week, did it? Oh dear, what a show.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, he like I said, he rides the Seahawks gravy train, like he did something, I mean, you were an okay fullback, and technically you started out with us as a running back. So, there was nothing spectacular that he did in his career. Like, he wasn't this over the top amazing player. I mean, he was just regular guy, just happened to be there. I mean, Vernon Davis has a Super Bowl ring from the Broncos, and he didn't even play. So you can get a Super Bowl ring just by default being on the team. That's real easy, I haven't done anything. So, I don't pay enough attention to him because, like I said, he's too busy riding the Seahawks dick. I don't have time for that. At least if you're a homer, just kind of do it when you're talking about their games. But when all you do is talk about them, I stopped listening.
Well, unfortunately, they haven't got any more games to talk about because they got their asses dumped out by the Rams last week. Right, we're getting up out of here. Brad, I really appreciate you getting up early. Thanks, everyone. Ivan, you know that your Twitter feed is going to be electric tomorrow from both sides of the pond, no doubt. Scott, good luck tomorrow. Let's see what happens. Carl, as ever, thank you for stepping in for Pete because he's a complete pussy. Dion, what can I tell you? As ever, stepping up to the plate. We are the Shank Club NFL. We love you all. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you again very, very soon. Take care, everyone, and enjoy the games. Stay safe. Wear a mask. Wash your hands. And all that jazz. We are going to beat COVID. I don't know when it's going to be, but we are going to beat it. So let's just all stick together, stick to the rules. Peace out.